now it's time for our main subject, which is our Tiermaker LoudHouse Season 1 Tiermaker. So I don't know if you guys know about Tiermaker. It is a game that that a lot of people do on YouTube. They always go through these tiers. We go through like certain things. For LoudHouse, they have like secondary characters, they have main characters, they have episodes. And today I did promise you guys on Twitter, if we hit 4,000 followers, I will do a Tiermaker episode, and this is it right here. So thank you all for reaching our goal of 4,000 followers. And if we hit 5,000 followers, we'll do a season 2. Okay, so let's hit 5,000 if anything. We only have 500 away. So tell your friends to follow the fan page of the Loud House and the Casa Guardians on Twitter, and then we'll do another one of these. So yeah.
Oh yeah. It's all thanks to you guys that we decided to do this. Like, it's all thanks to your love and support for us that we decided to give you guys a gift in return and pretty much make a tier maker list for you guys. So yeah, this is it right here, the tier maker list video. Let's go. I'm ready to put episodes in each where they belong, and I'm ready to judge you if you put the episode in the wrong place.
We're gonna be judging. We're gonna do a lot of debating, by the way. Just a heads up. So let's go full screen here. There we go. I just want to zoom in here a little bit more. There we go. Yeah, I think that works out. Okay. All right. So welcome to Welcome to Tiermaker. We have our season 1 episodes that we're going to be reviewing or discussing. Which one will be from this S tier, which is the best episodes, to the F tier, which is the worst episodes. All right, and also for those who are watching on Twitch, you can also come along. We'll also follow along if you want to. So you guys can discuss about like what we think about this episode, what we think about that episode. It's going to be a fun time tonight. So hopefully you guys are, in fond of what our suggestions are and everything. All right, let's do it. All right, so let's start off with A Tale of Two Tables. A Tale of Two Tables, you know that episode? The episode where Lincoln doesn't want to go into the kiddie table, so that's why he wants to be a part of the older table. What do you think this should be in?
I'm going to have to say somewhere between an A or B, like somewhere along those lines. Because keep in mind, like this is one of the earliest Loud House episodes. So
yeah,
like, of course it's going to start out as simple. So, that's kind of something to bear in mind. You kind of have to expect it to be, a simple concept because the show's just getting started. So honestly, this is nothing against the episode itself. I'm personally going to have to put it as a B. Not one of the strongest episodes, but still very enjoyable.
I think so. I think it's a B as well. I still like it. It's still a pretty good episode for Lincoln to figure out like if he belongs in the kiddie table, because he is the middle child after all. He's supposed to be able to figure out if he wants to be with the kids or if he wants to be mature and hang out with the older Louds. And in the end, they still end up being part of the kiddie table. But I still like it. It's still an enjoyable episode. So I'm gonna give this into the B section. So yeah. We'll put Tale of Two Tables in the B section. That's our first episode. Cool. So let's go to the next one. It's called The Waiting Game. It's the episode where Lincoln, did something for Chandler. And then, of course, this actually didn't benefit him. It didn't benefit Lori, considering that she had to work for her prom night, that kind of stuff. Where would you put The Waiting Game in this tier list?
It's somewhere between a B or a C. Like, I'm sorry, I'm pretty indecisive right now. I probably
the first episode that had Chandler in it. Remember?
F, no, just kidding. I'm putting it in a B. I would have put it in a B. Like I was about to say, really? Put it in the F category because it's the birth. Like it's the first episode of that particular character. But I'm just like, nah, I'm playing. Not biased. B.
I would say C, actually. I don't think this is actually, like, good or bad. I felt like it was just average. I understand that it was more for Lori because, like, obviously me being a Lori fan, but still, this is just selfish Lincoln Loud, just scamming for Lori just to get tokens and food and stuff like that. And, of course, that didn't work out
worse. For him. I've seen worse. I've seen worse iterations. I've seen worse episodes tackling on, Lincoln, that type of Lincoln Loud plot. So... But I like the message that they're presenting, and I do like the fact that Lincoln Loud did take the ball at the end, so props to him. And of course, Lori Loud looks so beautiful in that dress.
Oh,
she definitely earns one of the dance. Yes. So that heartwarming moment between Lincoln and Lori was what made me think, okay, B minus.
Okay, so we'll just keep it at the C level then in this case. So yeah, Waiting Game at C. All right, we started off with that. All right, next up, Cover Girls. Oh wow, amazing episode about this one where they try to cover up each other's weekend and stuff like that. So Omid, where would you put Cover Girls in this tier list?
One of my favorite Loud House episodes ever. I love this episode. Just the way that it tackles the concept of like the Louds dressing up as each other. Not only do they nail the costumes of each other, but they nail the personalities down to a T. I just love it because it shows the real chemistry that each Loud has with each other, and really does show how like the Loud siblings really do know each other. And plus, you got them going back and forth with their call Pop Pop. And of course, it's the first appearance of Pop Pop, so that's a plus. So honestly, all in all, with Cover Girls, I'm just gonna say it's an S tier.
I think so. I believe it's an S tier as well. It's definitely one of the most constructive episodes we never expect to see, where all the Louds dress up as other Louds and they try to make a ruse to make sure that they don't go through this cleanup day and everything. I think it's just a very clever episode for a season 1 episode. Like, you never expect for Lincoln to actually dress up as these characters. You never expect these other Louds to dress up as these characters, and it all worked out in the end. I thought it was just very clever way of making an episode, and for just 15 minutes I just was entertained throughout the whole thing. So I gotta agree with Omid here. I gotta definitely put it in the S tier for sure.
And also that joke I never forget. There was this one joke where Luann dresses as Lenny, and then Lenny, of course, in her
he does outfit, the whole Macarena.
The Macarena. I laughed so loud at that. Like, one of the best jokes of Loud House season 1 for sure. I love that moment.
I did too. It was amazing. All right. Next up is a Tattler's Tale. Remember the episode where Lola is a tattletale? So yes. Where would you put this in the tier list?
Now, you think that for a concept for a brat being a tattletale, because of course nobody likes a tattletale, snitches get stitches after all, you would expect that Tattler's Tale on the surface would be your typical annoying episode. But no, they actually managed to make Lola, this episode cemented Lola as being one of my top 5 favorite Loud House characters because of like how they managed to make Lola being a tattletale actually work, and how they really does show, Lola Loud being, smarter than people let on. Like, smart for such a young age. Like, oh my gosh, when she set those traps and everything, I'm just like, that's very creative for a young girl. And also, like, the part where she takes the blame, like, for all the stuff that the siblings did as a way for her to make up for her actions. Like, oh my God, that is such a breath of fresh air. That is when I pretty much, that's pretty much when I realized, okay, like, she isn't your typical, bratty sister trope. Like, she's pretty much, like, they actually managed to make it a breath of fresh air. They actually put his own spin on it, where it's like, you got the bratty sister with a heart of gold, but just like the sacrifice she made, and then she rightfully earns a spot in being this sisters club. Like, oh my God, honestly, for all these reasons and so much more, I'm gonna say Tattler's Tale is an S tier. Definitely one of the best
for you, really.
Huh. It is one of the best Lola episodes for sure. Simply one of the very best, and one of the best season 1 episodes for sure. I love it.
Okay, I like the episode, but I wouldn't put it as an S tier. I would put it as a B tier. I mean, no, I don't. I definitely love Lola. She definitely was an amazing character, knowing that she is a tattler after all. And especially what happened in the end definitely was very heartwarming for her. I wouldn't expect it to be in the huge, like, big S tier episodes. I gotta say B tier for me. Now that we average it out, it's actually going to be in the A tier. So Tattler's Tale is actually going to be in the A tier for both of us in this case.
Okay, so that seems fair.
I would say that too, yeah. Tattler's Tale definitely an A for us. We definitely really rated it up high. I was like 8 out of 10 for me when it comes to it, not like 10 out of 10.
That's fair, man.
All right, next up, Sleuth or Consequences. Remember the episode where Lincoln dressed up as A Savvy, wanted to go to a convention, but unfortunately couldn't go because he was being accused of clogging the toilet. What are your thoughts? What would you put this episode in the tier list?
I'd have to say that I would break it in the C tier. Now, I do like the mystery aspect of it. I really do like, Lincoln and Lucy teaming up together to pretty much solve the crime. I really like that aspect. Didn't care much for the toilet humor, and then of course Loud sisters laughing at his outfit. I'm just like, let the guy enjoy his hobbies, okay? You're never too old to dress up, as a superhero. So honestly, I'm gonna say that it's a C tier for me.
I have to say, I mean, it wasn't really one of the best Loud House episodes to say. I was contemplating between C and D, but I think C tier actually works out. Definitely wasn't the best Loud House episode. I mean, especially the fact that everybody was trying to blame Lincoln out of all places about this whole clogged up toilet situation, which, to be fair, was Lucy at the end. And it also was a twist too, because you didn't consider Lucy being that culprit and everything. So Yeah, I would say I'll be in your case too. I would say C as well. So yeah, so the consequences definitely would be along that C tier area. All right. Next up, intense debates. Intense debates. The episode where like half the sisters want to go to Dairyland, half the sisters want to go to the beach. Well, Lincoln has to be the deciding factor. Your thoughts on intense the beach and where should it be in the tier list?
Intense debate. I'm gonna have to say it is a like think of it as this. It's intense debate is pretty much the Loud House Civil War, and
Yeah.
so it was sort of It was sort of interesting to see, like one group of sisters finding another group of sisters for which spot they want to go to, and so I'm gonna have to say this is probably A tier,
A tier.
because
Okay.
it's definitely one of my favorite season one episodes, and just by the simple fact that Lincoln was sort of like taking advantage of that whole thing, um, and then it turns out that the tables have turned at the end. It turns out that that the whole thing goes topsy turvy when the Loud sisters try to convince Lincoln that the other is worse. It's like I like how they played, on both sides of what would happen with Lincoln taking advantage of the situation. Oh, and also on a side note, I would have chosen Team Dairyland because I love amusement parks. So, and
Yeah.
plus, you got within that team, you got my top two favorites, Luna and Lucy. So I'm just like, okay, automatically Team Dairyland.
Oh God. Intense debates. I definitely would have to give this an A just because of a certain bias. This is the first episode of The Loud House I've watched, and I thought, and it just got me from that episode watching more and more Loud House because it was a very entertaining episode just to see the two group of the sisters fight, figure out which one will work, and then Lincoln would be the deciding factor. And I love the ending too, where Lincoln actually decides the Scratchy Bottom summer camp would be the one place they would go to. They thought it was the worst place ever, but it is the best place ever. So I thought it was a really fun one. So I gotta put it with Omid to the A list as well for intense debates for sure. So there you go. I'll put it like over here. Here we go. Next up, butterfly effect. We know this episode very well, considering that it's the ongoing chain of events, which led to like Letty being smart, Lisa being dumb, working at flips. You get to see certain things just go awry in the Loud House after the butterfly effect. Where would you put this in the tier list?
Honestly, it's an episode I'm not that familiar with, just because like there are some parts I'm just like, okay, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Like like why would Lori go with Clyde? Okay, come on, like
Oh
even
God, yeah, I forgot about that. Oh God. Oh, they break up. Oh, they break up because Bobby forgot something. I don't remember, but I think it was
oh
big
no, it was
overreaction from Lori.
like like Lori. That's because Lori saw pretty much Bobby's picture in Lenny's closet or something like
That's
that. It might
right,
have
because
been.
he think he could, she overreacted, thought that Lenny was hanging out with Bobby now, or they're dating or something.
I'm just like, boy, why would you jump to a conclusion like that? Like, for all we know, you could have left it behind or something like that. I don't know. It's just like, but here's the thing: why Lori and Clyde? You would think that
uh,
even if Lori and Bobby did break up, Lori would find someone her own age.
exactly. Why a young person like Clyde? And I'm like, oh God, this is weird. But there's so many other things that were also weird too, like Luann being an activist. Luna actually had the best of it all, was hanging out with was it Mick Swagger, but then he got arrested got arrested though.
Yeah, I'm just
All I
like,
wanted was a bleeding pillow mint.
yeah, that part was funny. Like it was like Luna Loud, like hang out with Big Swagger. One of the best things about the episode. Um, what was it? But then pretty much you got Lola's face be messed up. You got Lola
Mhm.
Lynn, pretty much running for the scene of the crime. I'm just like, you know, okay, I know the show is supposed to be zany and all of that, but that's just taking it a bit, out there. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty much at the point I'm just like,
where would you put this then?
D.
D tier. Ah, D tier.
I don't
Ah,
care much. I don't care much about Butterfly Effect, honestly.
I thought it was actually quite entertaining how that butterfly effect goes, but it is kind of ridiculous how the Louds ended up being like this and that and this kind of crazy stuff. Um, I think I'm gonna agree with you here. I would say D as well. So butterfly effect definitely wasn't our favorite episode, but definitely not in that F tier. But I would say still quite entertaining. So the D tier for us. All right, next up, Space Invader. It's the episode where Lynn and Lucy were having some roommate issues, and that Lynn also slept over with Lincoln's place just to make sure. And Lincoln's trying to fix the whole situation with Lynn and Lucy when it comes to the roommate situation. So, Omid, Space Invader, where would you put this in the tier list?
Space Invader, I'm gonna have to say is a. Now keep in mind, just like Table 2, this is one of the earliest episodes, so I'm gonna have to say A tier.
Oh, okay.
A tier because like it's pretty much an episode where it's pretty much a typical slice of life situation where you got two roomies who like buddy heads with each other, argue with each other, don't like each other, and then they go their separate ways. But then Lincoln has to deal with Lynn's obnoxiousness, and it gets up to a point where it's just like you can't help but feel bad for the guy. Like it's like you would definitely understand why Lincoln had to pretty much set up Lucy and Lynn in a room. And I like that it's not just because of the fact that, it's Lincoln being annoyed with it, but also by the fact that when you see like Lincoln, that scene where Lincoln pretty much goes into each room, then you see how much Lynn and Lucy really miss each other, from Lucy throwing the baseball onto the wall, from Lucy reading Lynn reading Lucy's poems. Like you could just feel that energy. You could just feel that depression. You could just feel that, they really do miss each other. They truly do care for each other. And Lincoln himself sees this. And that's where he decides, okay, I got to set these right with them.
Yeah, I definitely would agree for A, but I think it's definitely one of the best like Loud House season 1 episodes because it just deals with like the fact that Lincoln has to be the hero out of this, and he does a great job trying to make sure Lynn and Lucy gets back to normal, or else Lynn and Lincoln will be pretty much roommates. And I've seen you shippers out there, you crazy people. I have to say, Space Invader definitely was like one of my favorite episodes. I would put it S tier, but knowing that we're both debating on S and A, so we're gonna put this in the A tier in this one. So Space Invader, one of my favorite episodes for season 1, but yeah, it's definitely worth it than the A tier in this case for both of us.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is Homespun, the final one of the final episodes of season 1. This is the episode where like a tornado comes into Royal Woods and is threatening to destroy their home. In this episode, we also get to see the past memories of how they enjoyed this house and everything. So, your thoughts on Homespun? Where does this go to in the tier list?
Homespun is one of those episodes where it's like the more you watch it, the more you think about it, the more you actually love it. Like, oh my gosh. Especially when you have all the Louds together in the basement and then they reminisce over their memories in a house that might end up moving, or they may end up, it might
get destroyed.
Yeah, due to it might getting destroyed because, they said themselves that, like the Loud House, let's be honest, like it's sort of like breaking down, where like the doors are breaking down, like pretty much the walls are leaking and all that stuff. It's a really old house, so you would expect it to have these kind of problems. But then like the whole episode focuses on the Louds like reminiscing over their memories they have of the Loud House, like pretty much going from pretty much emptying the water, using the buckets, from the table scenes, like the food table scenes where they slide the food, and then all this stuff is just really fantastic. It really does show. And also that heartwarming scene where the Louds pretty much use finger paint, like they pretty much paint their hands. They paint their hands on like, the walls. Cute.
Yeah,
I love it as a way of showing their anniversary
appreciation. Yeah, they're appreciative of the house, even if they painted the house terribly.
to celebrate the anniversary of their parents. It's just very wholesome stuff. And like honestly, this is one of those episodes that really does show the wholesomeness, the connection that the family has with one another. I just love it for it. So definitely for all these reasons, some more S tier.
S tier. Wow, I'm surprised about you putting it in the S tier because I was considering it a B, actually. It wasn't really that like entertaining for an episode. Like I understand the whole wholesomeness of the story and all the flashbacks and stuff like that, but I wouldn't consider it being S tier. You have to make it be a very stellar episode for me to actually give it an S tier, like I did with Space Invader and Cover Girls. This one was just like okay episode. I like the whole flashbacks and all, but for me it's a B. So that's all I can say. Since we both average it out, Obi is S and I'm B, we're gonna put this in the A section. So Homespun for us is A in this case. All right, next up, the sweet spot. It's the episode where Lincoln tried to stay up all night, trying to get the sweet spot in Banzilla. All right, your thoughts on the sweet spot and where does this go in the tier list?
Like for an episode that does follow the typical season 1 formula thing, I gotta say this is definitely one of the more entertaining.
Oh, I thought you
ones.
hate season 1 Lincoln.
Oh, believe me, like I have my issues, like major issues with season 1 Lincoln. This one I feel is a bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, especially when you see like Lincoln. Like this is the first time we see Lincoln Loud's like planned mattress. Like you see like the back of the bottom of the mattress is filled with like all these like different layouts, all these different plans. It got me hooked into Lincoln's character, where it's just like, okay, like here's an 11-year-old boy with a plan of his own. He knows how to strategize. Okay, I see what you're doing there, Lincoln. Like, and then it's kind of funny to see like a running gag of Lincoln in the car, like in the spot, and then Clyde points out the flaws of Lincoln's plans.
Oh yeah,
he
keeps on changing on the planes. Yeah, and also the yeah.
I kind of like it. It was kind of funny. So yeah, honestly, sweet spot. Yeah, definitely not S tier. Don't get me wrong, not S tier, not A tier. I would say it like for an episode that's pretty predictable. And also because it's very relatable. You kind of want to get the best spot in a huge van with a huge family. So of course you gotta plan it out very carefully. This is pretty much the first time I've seen a strategizing version of Lincoln. So I'm just gonna say B tier.
B tier in your case, okay. I think I have to say this. I love it. This is a good episode. This is Lincoln obviously being selfish, but at the same time, you get the sisters also being a part of this as well. I know that it was Lincoln just trying to get the sweet spot at the end. The sisters also know about it too, so it's like, oh well, Lincoln, you kind of like forced yourself into your situation where all the sisters now know about this sweet spot stuff. So I thought this was really nice just to have this little rivalry between the sisters and Lincoln. And I feel like it was just a fun episode overall. So I say A tier on this, but since we both average out on this one, we gotta put this in the B tier of this one. So sweet spot for us is B. But I really like this episode a whole lot. I say A tier on this one, but
yeah, Lincoln being selfish is not a bad thing. Selfish Lincoln Loud's not a bad thing. It's just that like selfish Lincoln Loud being written poorly is what's bad. You could actually make a selfish Lincoln Loud concept like this genuinely work. The reason why it works here is because one, it actually shows like how he goes on about like the way he strategizes and everything. And plus, it's the first time we see, the man with the plan come out of Lincoln, like with the mattress planning and all that stuff. Second of all, let's be honest, like the sisters are kind of selfish too in their own way.
Yeah, like, in this case too. Yeah, you're right about that. So it's kind of like fighting between both of them.
Like it's not just Lincoln, it's also his sisters as well. So honestly, when you have like all of them like butting heads against each other for that spot, let me tell you, it makes for some entertaining sibling rivalry.
I see. Okay, that sounds very fair, but nonetheless, we put in the B tier for the sweet spot, so it all worked out. All right, next up is the greenhouse, the episode where Lincoln tries to be green, and then of course, what happens in that whole house trying to make sure that they actually are a greenhouse. Omid, where would you put this in the tier list?
Okay, honestly, I'm just gonna say this right now. I hate it. I hate Greenhouse.
We finally have our first hateful episode in season 1.
I kid you not. It is without a doubt the worst episode of season 1. It is.
Oh, there's something else that's worse. I will put that up later, okay? But there's something worse than that.
It's so awful. Like, oh my gosh. Like first off, not only do you have the typical season 1 formulaic plot, but you also combine it with the environmental message. And the environmental message itself is not that well done. Because let's be honest for a second here, where pretty much like you got all these characters. You got Lincoln's classmates, you got Lincoln's teacher, like bashing on Lincoln. I think it's not even the poor guy's fault. Like he lives in a house with many of his siblings. Like honestly, it's not his fault. Get the guy a break. Like of course you would expect the foot to go high. Like they pretty much use up all the power. It's a huge family, and there are some parts that just don't make sense to me. Like, honestly, just by the simple fact that, okay, Lincoln, I understand. You have this, tournament going on. Okay, like first off, one, it shows your hypocritical side. First off, you tell the Loud sisters to stop doing their things, but you have to do your thing yourself. You're such a selfish hypocrite. Second off, why don't you do the tournament in Clyde's house or like one of the other guys' house? There, problem solved. Like, and yeah.
You could have done that instead. You just put it in Lincoln's house. So I don't understand why that was the case. It's so dumb.
And oh my gosh, like honestly, like this episode, like it pretty much, I pretty much this running gag of like, oh, say the polar bear, and yeah, like it's a nice enough animation for the girls crying, but then like there are some jokes there that just kind of wear off its welcome. Like they're not even that funny when you repeat the same jokes over and over, so that kind of grated on me a bit. Yeah, honestly, I'm just gonna say this right now. Greenhouse, I'm gonna pull a Mr. Crocker. Like I'm just gonna be like, good news, Greenhouse. I'm gonna give you a super F. I'm gonna be Mr. Crocker giving a super F. This is honestly the worst season 1 LoudCasa episode. It goes straight to the F tier. Nothing higher than that. It gets it.
I would say the same thing too. I was actually debating between D and F on this episode because look, it looked great considering the first half was just mostly the Louds obviously turning green, and they actually did end up turning green in the halfway mark of the episode until Lincoln had to like do this whole tournament thing, and then every other Loud was also like living with like scrubs and all this trash and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my god, Lincoln, why did you have to do this to your sisters? This is bad. This also was the worst selfish Lincoln I've seen also, but I think there's a worse episode. I'll bring that up later. But yeah, I say F as well. So this is our first ever F tier episode. Wow, Greenhouse, terrible. I would say terrible episode.
Yeah, honestly, it is one of the worst LoudHouse episodes I've ever seen. I just really hate this episode.
I hate it. I feel. All right, let's head over to the next episode. It's called Heavy Metal. It's the episode where Lincoln has a crush and the sisters wanted him to help him out in his situation. So Heavy Metal, Omid, which tier do you think that episode goes into?
I'm gonna have to say this. Like this episode is a bit of a meh. It's pretty average. It's not that great because yes, this is the first time we get even a hint of Ronnie Ann. But just the way that like the girls like reacted, where it's like, oh, if a girl likes you, if a girl picks on you, that means she likes you. It's like, no, that's not how it works. I'm sorry. No, that's not how it works. Like having a crush on someone does not excuse you bullying them. It's just it just doesn't work. I don't know why the Loud sisters reacted that way. And then of course, now I do like the whole part of Lincoln Loud with the sister NATO. That part was pretty creative. But then again, with the ending though, like pretty much you have him shouting at the sisters saying that like, why did I take advice from you and all this stuff? I'm just like, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
But then the ending, of course, you see Ronnie Ann throwing in a note saying like,
there's some Ronnie Kid vibes from this episode.
Yeah. And there's a heart.
Wait. That's another season 1 episode that we have to discuss.
Oh, right. I don't think I have nice things to say about that episode either, but I did.
Oh, shut up! No, we're gonna debate about that one. Anyway, so where'd you put it? Where would you put it on the tier?
Heavy Metal. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be between a C or a D.
Really? Because I was thinking
C minus.
I was thinking B on this one. I thought this was actually a pretty good episode, considering that. Yeah, I understand Lincoln is trying to hide the fact that he likes a girl, and then of course it would turn out to be Ronnie Ann. I love how the sisters tried to help Lincoln out, and of course it didn't help Lincoln out. And then, of course, in the end, nonetheless, he still ended up having Ronnie Ann like Lincoln. So, I mean, no doubt about it. I think this was definitely a sweet episode. So I put it in the B tier. We put it in the D tier. We're gonna keep it in the C range in this case, if that's the way. So we'll put it in the C range. Heavy Metal. I still say it's really up there. I don't know if Amin understands that. All right. Next up. The Loudest Yard is the episode where Lincoln doesn't want to do sports and Lynn has to pretty much replace him as the person who's playing football. Okay, which tier do you think Loudest Yard should go to?
I'm gonna have to say that it's on the B tier. Like it's really good, but not really one of the best episodes. I love the Lincoln and Lynn dynamic, where you got Lynn disguising herself as Lincoln, and then like of course really nailing it at football as she always does. And you got that small penis reference, which I thought was cute, like Lucy, like
Oh, the
this
penis reference,
particular
yeah.
Lucy, like this Lucy, pretty much pulling the ball away from Lincoln as the other Lucy would do in Peanuts. So I really like that. And then of course, you have Frida forcing Lincoln to exercise because, yeah, Lincoln, exercise is good for your health, okay? And then like I see some people
Lincoln just
complaining
loves to play
about.
video games and read comic books. That was what he did, and that's why Lynn had to come in to substitute for him. I feel like Lincoln didn't get the lesson.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm kind of flabbergasted by how like some of the fans like they feel like, oh, Rita's pushing Lincoln to do sports, that's a bad thing. I'm just like, yes, how dare Rita? Like, how dare Rita actually force Lincoln to get off his butt and go out and work out to improve his health? Yeah, how dare Rita try to improve Lincoln's physical health? What a terrible mother! Seriously,
Oh my
guys,
god.
come on. Maybe y'all need exercise yourself. Like I see y'all like being all yo lazy buzz, like playing video games in college. I see all you guys there. It's no wonder why you guys are so against Rita's actions this episode.
I gotta go with a B here. I actually would say B as well. I do like the whole dynamic between Lynn and Lincoln, and the fact that Lincoln could be lazy, which is kind of like the bad Lincoln that we kind of saw in season 1. But I like the whole clever idea that they had between Lincoln saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe Lynn is now injured because of me. It's time for me to actually step up and actually be a football player." And then you end up failing as a football player. So yeah, I still say I like the dynamic between Lynn and Lincoln here. I think this is a good episode. So yeah, a B, a grade in our a B in our system as well. So yeah, Loudest is a B tier. We'll take that.
Charlie Horse.
Next up. Oh yeah, Charlie Horse. All right, next up, Picture Perfect. This is the episode where Lincoln tried to get a perfect picture with the Loud family. Okay, your thoughts on which tier Picture Perfect should be in?
This is definitely one of the more wholesome, one of the more one of the more chill episodes of Picture Perfect. Of course, it relates to a relatable slice of life, a concept where you got the Loud family, you got the Loud siblings trying to get a picture for the parents, and then you got Lincoln trying to get to get his image of the picture, but they're just not happy with it. So I'm just gonna say it's definitely an A tier.
Oh wow.
Where it's a simple concept, but it's a simple concept that's done really well. Where you got Lincoln learning to sort of like embrace the differences of the sisters, and then like take the picture of the Loud family being as chaotic as they are.
I want to say like selfish Lincoln was bringing here again just because he wants to have like that perfect picture where they all dressed up in the same clothes and everything. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Lincoln tries to get that perfect picture. That was most of the episode. But then that wholesome moment happened where Lincoln literally just put the messy picture up and it actually worked out between Lynn and with Lynn Sr. and Rita. So in the end, I thought this was really nice of an episode. I gave it a B tier to be fair. I didn't really think that was that good of an episode. But I think we're just going to be average here and just put it to the B tier. What do you think?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, so we're in the B tier for Picture Perfect. That's not bad.
It was one of the earliest episodes. So this is why like the way the plot went as about as it didn't bother me all that much because like this is what before it became a common thing.
Yeah, exactly. So if anything, this was like the first of many episodes that would be wholesome moments for the Loud House and all. So I thought that was a cute way to end the episode for sure. All right, next up, House Music. This is the episode where Luna made a band with the family. She turned out to be a very bad leader, but in the end, they actually do perform well in that they do perform as a family in the county fair that they were performing it. All right, so your tier, which tier should House Music be in?
Surprisingly enough, like I know this is personal bias.
You can put an S, aren't you? You can put an S, aren't you? I know that you are because you're a little Loud fan.
No, actually, surprisingly enough, I'm just gonna have to say I'm gonna have to put this in the somewhere between A and B tier, but like A minus or something like that. Mostly because it's Luna Loud pretty much learning a lesson about how like playing music isn't about being the best, it's about having fun. Pretty much because
he even says it in the beginning, and then she starts to become very selfish and wants to be the best. And I'm like, wow,
because
what happened to that lesson?
Because it's big swagger, and for reasons we'll talk about later, when we talk about another episode. It's understandable why she would act that way, but why she would change her attitude towards the family play music, because she wants to impress her, idol.
Yeah.
But then again, but then again, like the way she changes shifts, like I felt was a bit abrupt, and not only that, but like seeing Luna as harsh as she was, like pretty much pretty much having Luna turn into this sort of like version. Pretty much Luna Loud pretty much turned into the J.K. Simmons from Whiplash of the Loud
Oh
House. Let's put
God.
it that way.
Yeah, that's right.
I was like, I don't like seeing this side of Luna. I get why she would act that way, but still, though, like, and just the way that she heard her dad's feelings is like, okay, that is not Luna at all. But then she does learn a lesson when she meets the old man at the diner, and he tells her, about how rock and rolling the best, about having fun. And then so she takes the words to heart. And then I love the twist where it's like, the old man actually turns out to be Mick Swagger herself. But Mick Swagger taught her the lesson she needed to learn. I'm just like, and the thing is, that character is the reason why Luna Loud became Ron in the episode in the first place. I'm just like, I like that twist. And plus the performance itself at the end, love it. Such fun stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was great. And plus the fact that like Luna, I mean, I wouldn't say this. It was kind of very easy forgiving for like the family to pretty much forgive her for after what she did. And I love the fact that she apologized and everything. So in the end, they ended up having a great performance. The whole family was performing as well. It was just weird seeing Luna becoming so authoritative, where she was just like, you can't do this, you can't do that. What are you doing? Oh, you're out of the band, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was weird for seeing Luna like that, but nonetheless, it was a pretty good episode, especially how the ending went when Mick Swagger was the twister and everything. So I gotta give this an A as well. So we put this in the A tier for sure. All right, house music in A tier. There we go. We're putting a lot of stuff in the A. Tells you that this is a good season 1 of the Loud House. All right. Next up is the price of admission. It's the Halloween episode where Lincoln watched this horror movie without his parents' permission, and he tries to hide the fact that it was a scary movie, that he's scared for life and everything. All right, which tier should the price of admission be?
Price of admission should be A tier, because I like the simple fact that it's pretty much a it pretty much shows what happens when a kid watches a really scary movie that he's been wanting to see, and then it actually turns out that he's actually more scared of it than he thought up to point. And I do like seeing Lincoln throughout the night trying to use various ways to sort of cope with what he saw, the movie he saw. And it each scene is just laugh out loud funny, from Bobby's pepperoni pizza dedicated to Lori, to Lincoln asking Lola and Lana to pretty much sleep with them, and to pretty much Lincoln going crazy, staying up all night. Excuse me.
Oh, right. I remember that.
Like Sherry T, like pretty much spending time with the
inanimate
objects, with the pills. Like Crazy Lincoln was just the highlight of this episode. We see the eyes wide open. You see like the red marks on the eyes. It was really fun stuff. It's definitely one of those you gotta watch like every year for Halloween.
I gotta say this though, that definitely was fun to watch. It just sucks considering that the sister episode, One Floor with the Loud House, was obviously considering pandemic-ish stuff. That's why we got banned for a couple years until it finally came back. And I loved the episode. It was really fun to see Lincoln pretty much like get his karma after watching a horror movie. He thought he was brave enough to watch a horror movie, and in the end, he ended up being scared for life. And throughout the whole episode, we get to see like him just trying to like be cautious now because he was scared. Like him doing all these kind of stuff, like going to the basement, and he's just scared of everything. I understand Lincoln's like ways of what happened after he was. What was it? After he watched just a horror film, and yeah, it's just wholesome and stuff. In the end, they still end up watching that kitty movie, so it's just pretty cool. But yeah, I gotta agree with you, Amit. I'm also with you, A as well. Price of Admission definitely was a funny episode.
I loved it.
All right, next up is Funny Business. This is the episode where Luann hired Lincoln as Luann's stage guy through her performances, but then Lincoln took over as the business guy, considering that he thought he was funny. All right, so your thoughts? Which tier should Funny Business be in?
Funny Business, I'm going to say between A and B. What I do love about this episode is that it's one of those episodes, it's a kind of season 1 episode that I love, where it's pretty much a Lincoln and an episode focused between Lincoln and a solo sister episode. Now, yes, the ensemble episodes are fun to watch, but it's really like the Lincoln and sister relationship that really does bring so much development in the relationship and develops both characters respectively. So I really do like that. And I love seeing Luann's character where she does more than just puns. Like this is someone that actually takes comedy very seriously. Like she tries to be like professional with her comedy, whereas Lincoln pretty much trying to pretty much go like lowbrow Adam Sandler movie type humor with the fart, like pretty much the
Fart
farting
jokes,
and all the
yeah.
stuff, the fart jokes and everything. And so I like the fact that it's pretty much two different ideologies of comedy like conflicting together, and Lincoln realizes he messed up at the end, and he tries to get Luann to come perform for Maggie's show. Seriously, where was Maggie after this? Hello,
Maggie's a dead character now.
they literally killed off Maggie. It's like okay,
oh god, just what
Maggie
happened? Just what happened to the fandom after just getting like Maggie Luann episode, Maggie Luann ships and stuff.
Maggie was all hype, and they did nothing with her. They did nothing with Maggie after.
She was just a one-off character, guys. I understand, but there's a lot of people that still draw Maggie with Luann and all.
and I'm seeing all of y'all be like, break up Luann and Benny just so that she can get together with Maggie. I'm just like, nah, it ain't gonna happen.
I understand. I know, but she is gothic after all. I don't know. She was an interesting character. We would have gotten we could have gotten more of the voice actress herself, Carrie Walgren, a part of this show too. But besides that, I thought that was a really funny episode. Not really as entertaining as I thought it would be. It was cool just to see Luann get a sidekick with Lincoln, but then seeing Lincoln being kind of like season one Lincoln again, trying to take over Luann's comedy bit. I'm like, you're not the king of comedy. Luann is the queen of comedy. Let her be able to take care of what's going on with situations, especially in Maggie's party, considering that they're gods. They're not going to be laughing at stuff like that. So I do love this. I do like this episode. I give this into the B tier. So I would say we put average it out to the B if that's the case then. So that's funny fine. Business to B, right? All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Sounds good. Oh, Omid's next episode. This episode is gonna be Omid, definitely for sure. All right, we're gonna talk about The Bros About to Rock.
Yes!
The episode we talk about. Damn it. Oh, here we go again. This is the episode where what is it? Luna tries to help Lincoln out when it comes to his first concert. Lincoln thought Luna was doing too much. But in the end, Luna did help Lincoln have a best like concert experience for his first time performing in a rock concert, watching a rock concert and everything. Okay, I mean, are you gonna put it straight to S tier? Is that what we're gonna do now? Put it straight to S tier,
bro. S plus. This gets an S plus. Oh my gosh, this is the cream of the crop when it comes to season 1 episodes. It is top tier. It is the best season 1 episode, and definitely one of my top 5 favorite Loud House episodes. I love this episode 100%. And I'm going to tell you why. First off, it's the episode that gave me my favorite Loud House character in Luna Loud. Because before that, I didn't know who would be my favorite character. It would range down to her, Lana, Lynn, all that stuff, whatever, all that stuff. This was the episode that really did. It was the first one that gave actual development to a Loud sister. Like, she isn't just used as a background or ensemble or anything like that. No, she actually is a full-fledged. This is the first time where we see her as a full-fledged character in this. And especially with the origin story of how she got into rock and roll in the first place. Oh my gosh. I'm just like, I want to see more of this with more Loud sisters. Can we have that, please? Like, honestly, like, this is the first time I've seen like a Loud sister, like, you know, fully developed, like season 3 and up levels of development. And I love seeing like the chemistry between Lincoln and Luna, and like pretty much how they have so much fun with each other. And she teaches Lincoln about the ways of how to pretty much have a rocket good time in the first concert. Like, you can see the, you know, how you can see the passion of Luna Loud when it comes to rock and roll music at concerts. You can, at the same time, you can feel like Luna Loud wants to pass it, wants to share this with her little brother Lincoln, which does help with the big sis little bro dynamic. So yeah, all these reasons and so much more. Like honestly, For Bros About to Rock deserves nothing less than an S tier.
I will just say this. Omi pretty much put up all the big points about what this episode is. Definitely a Luna episode, but it definitely was awesome just to see the flashback of how Luna became into rock and roll, and the fact that she actually did help Lincoln get himself to a really awesome concert with Smooch and all that jazz. I gotta say this though, it definitely was an awesome episode. No bias to Luna or anything like that. I just think that it was an amazing episode. So I'm with Omi too, giving it to the S tier as well. So another one favorite episode of ours going straight to the S tier. So there you go. For Bros About to Rock, into the S tier for
where it belongs. This is no bias either. Where it belongs. It rightfully belongs in the S tier. And no, I'm not being biased, okay? Like, this is how I honestly feel. Like Luna fans like me and non-Luna fans like others, like they can all agree that in terms of season 1 episodes, this is definitely one of the best, if not the best one, just because of all the reasons I mentioned about how it felt Luna as a character.
All right, I understand now. Okay, that was good. All right, let's move on as we continue on to the rest of season 1. We have a lot more episodes, right? Oh, shoot. We have 3, 6, 7, 14, 20. Ah, shit, 20... A lot more. If I'll probably go quick. All right, so let's go with the next one. Driving Miss Hazy. It's the episode where Lenny tries to get her driver's license, but Lori continues to sabotage Lenny's ways of getting her license. Okay. Driving Miss Hazy, which tier do you think it should go to?
Definitely an A tier. It was definitely a worthwhile Lenny episode. And of course, Lenny with her funny dialogue really did elevate this episode, especially when she brings out her special driving outfit. She brings out, her soy pumpkin cookie crumble cream. It's seasonal. Like there's so much memorable dialogue in this. Like I honestly love it, and just by the simple fact that I love how like all the Loud siblings, Sans Lori, gathered together to teach Lenny how to drive in her own Lenny sort of way. Like I love how they use many props to help her drive. I thought it was really creative, and of course, and I do like the fact that how it shows Lori like pretty much sabotaging Lenny, but then she grows to feel guilty of it when Lincoln points it out to her. But it's like, okay, like this is pretty much a this is sort of a it's a breath of fresh air, just like with Lola. It's a breath of fresh air on Lori's part, because like with the type of character of Lori, you expect her to be like this evil, bossy, big sis that she is, but no, she actually turns out to have much more heart than that. So, and of course, the iconic line, one of the best Loud House jokes ever. Is this the carpool lane?
Oh God! And I love how it just references back to when Lenny ends up getting when she ends up getting her license. That actually was the line, also. That is
how you end an episode. That is pretty much one of the funniest, ending jokes I've ever seen.
I definitely like this episode just because of, just Lenny Loud. I understand that she's kind of a ditz, but she does end up like doing her best to get the license and all. But then you also get to see Lori try to be selfish as well, because like, oh great, there's another driver out here. My perks of being a driver is going to be gone. I don't want it to happen, where she actually sabotages Lenny. And I was kind of sad considering that I was a fan of Lori until she started doing that. And I'm like, oh great, now I got to go back to Luann in this episode. So yeah, I would say because of Lori being selfish and all, maybe to a B. But then looking back at it, I was thinking maybe A, B-ish. So since we're actually agreeing with it being A, let's actually put it to the A tier. So drive Miss Hazy into the A tier in this one.
Cool.
All right. Next up, Project Loud House. It's the episode where Lincoln has a project and he's trying to make sure that he gets this project clean to school before anything else goes awry. Your thoughts? Which tier should this episode go to?
It's definitely a wholesome and simple concept. And then of course you got Lincoln understandably trying to get all his sisters into the car in order for him to turn in his project. So honestly, it's perfectly understandable, why he would take the actions that he would take. Like, he's doing this to get a good grade. So honestly, and just by the simple fact that like the way he plays around like with each sister and how he knows his sisters very well. Like it really does unleash his man with a plan persona again. So honestly, for this and many more, I'm gonna say A.
I gotta say the same thing too because this is actually one of my first episodes of me watching the Loud House and all, and I really do love the concept considering like Lincoln was doing whatever it takes to make sure that everything goes awry, make sure that his project does not break, but did unfortunately because he slipped on a banana peel, and then the ending where the whole sisters actually went to his classroom to do the project, I thought was actually really nice of him, considering that the sisters knew that Lincoln was trying to make a perfect thing for him. So I think this is definitely was into the A tier as well. Definitely it was an amazing episode. So I'll bring it up to the A as well for Project Loud House. Cool.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right. Next up is the sick episode, aka the episode that got banned because of currently COVID. It's called One Flew Over the Loud House, where everybody else got sick, and pretty much the Loud House became a zombie infested zombie infested house to say. Okay, where would you put One Flew Over the Loud House, Omid?
Like honestly, I can understand why it got banned, but at the same time, I can't because when you do think about it, it's a it's a cartoon. You would expect it to be like exaggerated and all this stuff. So honestly, um, I digress. Now, as for this episode, it's one of the most creative zombie apocalypse episodes I've ever seen. I love it. Like despite like despite what other people may think about it, like of course it aged poorly because of COVID. I still really love this episode, despite the fact of how like it's pretty much they pretty much turn a concept of a zombie apocalypse and they put its own spin on it, which in this case is a common cold, the flu. Because it's a huge family and because most of them are sick, of course you would expect it to have like go zombie apocalypse because like they don't want to get sick too. And I like the fact that how it's very creative how they use chicken noodle soup for guns. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
What really sells it though is Lincoln and Lenny's different ideologies of how to deal with their sick family. Like Lenny wants to help them out, but then Lincoln at the same time like is trying to keep the surviving sisters safe. So he tries to get away from them. I really like that, and it really just highlights at the end, especially Lincoln and Lenny's sibling relationship, which is really nice. And then there's this like one joke I never get. Dang it, the walkie's dead. I'm just like, I saw what you did there. I saw what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, one of my favorite season one Loud House episodes, S tier.
I gotta do this as well. I believe this is definitely an amazing zombie apocalypse episode, and I love how creative this is, considering that all the survivors were like Lisa, the smart one, and Lucy, who thinks that she's dead but she isn't. Oh God, Lucy's sick again. This is just my normal look, and it's like, yeah. I thought that joke was amazing too. But yeah, I believe this episode definitely was one of those top tier episodes as well. I really love how was it zombie apocalyptic this was, and how creative the people were to make it very like scary that a person can get sick, and this can all happen in your house and all. But yeah, it kind of I love the ending too, considering that it's not everybody didn't get saved. It was pretty much Clyde who saved them. So you thought it was gonna be like, oh cool, Lincoln and Lenny saved the day. No, they ended up getting infected too. So yeah, I would say so. Like S tier for me as well. So yeah, S tier for One Flew Over the Loud House for sure. Oh great, we have another episode. We have this episode to review. Fuck, I don't know. Limo. It's the episode where Lincoln won a limo and him being selfish, rich guy, and definitely left out his sisters for the limo ride. I'm already putting this on F tier, but Omid, where would you put this?
Okay. Remember when I said that you could take a selfish Lincoln concept and make it work like it did with Sweet Spot? But then there are some times where it could turn out to actually be really bad up to a point where, like, when it becomes way too formulaic, it's just like becomes predictable and just in bad taste. This is one of those ones. Out of Limo, honestly, like it's one of those episodes where it follows the typical, formula beat by beat. Like, oh my gosh, like honestly, it goes by the numbers. It goes by the numbers, and not to mention by the fact, not only that, but also it's handled really poorly. Like this is Selfish Lincoln handled really badly. Where like all of a sudden, because he met this rich guy, like all of a sudden, like he becomes this rich, snobbish, person too. And I'm just like, Lincoln, you're still poor as F, man. You're still poor as flip. Like just because like you have this limo and you're hanging out with this rich guy that makes you better than them. Like, no, not too much, but too much by the fact that it's really contrived how pretty much he turns into a jerk, and like pretty much, not to mention that him breaking his promise to his sisters and leaving them to wait for like 3 hours. Like, seriously, what was wrong with you? And also just by the fact that how like Lincoln, like once he arrives to the house, and by this time he gets like all messed up and messy, and then the rich snobby guy turns back away from it, and then even when he gets to karma, like it still doesn't make up for the fact that this episode was just really bad, really bad. The only good thing about it is Kirby, like the driver. I really like Kirby the driver. He had this charm to it, and of course he's voiced by he was voiced by John DiMaggio, so that's always nice. So yeah, other than Kirby, there's not much good I could say about this episode. It's just really bad overall.
I already said putting this in an F just because Lincoln is just being very selfish and totally left out his sisters. That's all I can say. Oh my God, you're just really a rich guy and you decided to, ditch your sisters. And in the end, you still end up having karma get to you because you ended up becoming not rich anymore and everybody hates you now and all this stuff. I'm like, this is a bad Lincoln. This is just the way Lincoln was in this episode was just terrible. So yeah, really bad episode. So I'm putting this in F.
Like, here's the thing: we've seen this kind of plot done. Like this is at a point, like even during this part of season 1, like even then it was the selfish Lincoln plot, what formula was like getting really thin, wearing thin even then. But let me tell you, like this really does like take the cake. Like this takes it to a whole new level of bad.
Yeah, definitely. I got nothing much to say about Auto Limo. All right, let's move on to the next episode called Roughing It. It's the episode where Lincoln and Clyde think that they're man enough that they can actually rough themselves, that they actually can be able to survive out in the woods. Okay, where would you put this in the tier list?
I would just have to put it in the C tier. Just by the simple fact that it's Lincoln and Clyde roughing it in the woods, and then like what these first, I did not care for the fart jokes at all. Can we please stop with the fart jokes? Okay, like it wasn't fun the first time. What makes you think it's gonna be funny the 5th time? But I do like the fact that it's Lincoln learning all kinds of stuff, roughing it in the woods. Like he wants to prove his manliness because like he feels he's losing his masculinity because he's watching Dreamboat with a bunch of girls. But then it turns out that he actually managed to survive the woods because of all the stuff the girls taught him. So I really like that. I would do like that idea. So I'm just gonna have to say C tier. Just by some fact that I like the idea of Lincoln learning how to survive like through his sisters. But when it comes to Lincoln and Clyde trying to rough it on their own, it's not that great.
I don't think this is definitely a good episode for Lincoln and Clyde. I understand that it's trying to be manly enough after like watching the Dreamboat and him just trying to be like a girly and stuff like that. It doesn't matter what. I understand it's trying to be like trying to rough it out and try to be masculine and stuff like that. I know they're trying to survive and all. I love the whole learning lesson stuff in it as well, but I don't think this is like a good learning lesson for both Lincoln and Clyde. I thought this was just a meh episode. I give this I put it in the D section, but we're both agreeing that it's kind of like D and C in that same range. So we'll put in the C section if that's all right. We'll just put in the C section.
Yeah.
Okay, so roughing it's in the C. Next up, Lincoln Loud Girl Guru. Remember this episode where Lincoln tries to make a business and he has to be the guru when it comes to like getting like love advice for all his classmates. And it obviously backfires on him. So your thoughts on Lincoln Loud Girl Guru, where should that be in the tier list?
I would say C tier also. I thought it was okay.
Really?
I thought it was fine. Of course you got Lincoln giving girl advice about, because he lives with 10 sisters, and I'm thinking of myself like it was an enjoyable, good, not great episode for Lincoln, but that's just me. I give it, there were some things that worked, some things that didn't. C tier.
Yeah, I didn't really like this episode too. I actually put in the F tier. I don't think this definitely was a good episode for Lincoln Loud. I know that he's trying his best to like make a business, but him trying to be the love guru, for example, not my cup of tea. Especially for this episode. So I have to give this a F, but we average it out. Omid was C, I was F. Omid, we'll put it a D for Lincoln Loud
Yeah.
Girl Guru. Okay, so D section for Lincoln Loud Girl Guru. Next up is a novel idea. It's the episode where Lincoln visits his mom's dentist place. We also get to see Rita's novel be played aloud, and then this is pretty much a rescue mission for Lincoln to rescue Rita's novel. Okay, your thoughts, and where should this be in the tier list?
Honestly, I'm gonna have to put this at the B tier because it takes
Really?
the concept.
Wait. Is that good? I don't think so.
Just a B tier because it's Lincoln spending time with his mom, like going to her workplace. Like we've already seen enough of like Lincoln and his sister. So hey, let's make an episode where Lincoln spends time with one of his parents, and that being his mother. And so he goes to check out the Rita's workplace, which is a uh, dentistry place with where she's an assistant Dr. Fungus. So I like the fact that it's pretty much Lincoln trying to pretty much create his own fun, pretty much trying to be inventive, but then like it's sort of like, none of the stuff really screams fun to him up until the point where he pretty much tries to go and help get Rita's novel. And so like he creates quite an adventure for himself. So I like the idea where it's like, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I like that kind of twist on it.
Oh my, this was not really a fun episode for me. I thought this was fun to actually have Rita and Lincoln have their like chemistry as like mother son, dynamic and stuff. But throughout the episode, we get to see Lincoln just be jealous of his sisters, literally next door, while their dad is just like playing around with toys and everything. So obviously, it makes Lincoln jealous. Lincoln had to go out to an arcade. I feel bad for Lincoln in this episode for sure, but yeah, definitely that novel was the one episode that kind of got me. Of course, he had this whole rescue mission to save that novel. It literally wasn't until like the last couple minutes that the novel popped up. And I'm like, could have just started in the beginning and actually made it like a really fun adventure, but it was way too quick in the ending. So I give this a D grade in my case for a novel idea, but since we average it out, we're gonna put in the C grade for a novel idea.
Sure.
All right. Next up, Chore and Peace. This is the episode where Lincoln, like, what was it? That was on strike for chores because he thinks that his sisters are having better chores compared to him. This all led to pretty much a whole mess in the Loud House, and then in the end, they all agreed to do their chores and everything. So where would you put Chore and Peace in the tier list?
B tier. It's definitely a nice, relatable slice of life concept episode for Lincoln Loud, where he feels he's getting the roughest chores, so he has to switch chores with his sisters. I like that idea. I like that idea.
For me, I think Chore and Peace definitely is it's a really good noteworthy episode, but I would actually agree with you, Omid. It actually is like not really like the A or S tier, more like C or B tier. But since we're both agreeing that we're in the B tier on this one, we'll just put in the B tier for Chore and Peace. All right, next up. Oh boy, save the date. This is the episode where we get to see Ronnie and Lincoln have their first date, and we also get to see Bobby and Lori also amend their relationship. Okay, Omid. You said bad episode on this, but I say good episode. Omid, your talk about why you think save the date was bad.
Now, it's really no secret. It's really no surprise that Save the Date actually turned out to be one of the most divisive episodes of the series. You got some people who love it because it's the start of Runnigan, but then you got some people who don't like it because of how, flawed, how contrived, how, like how much of a mess Save the Date really is when you do really look past Runnigan, right? Like when you look at Save the Date as a whole, like, okay, I like, the idea of like Ronnie and Lincoln bonding for the first time. And I do like, there were like some nice small interactions with Lincoln and Ronnie Ann. And of course, Musica. Oh my God, that Musica bit had me laughing out loud every time. I loved that bit. Honestly, the Musica was the best part of the episode. But Other than that, though, I'm sorry to say this. Save the date. It is a mess. It is messy.
I believe this is an amazing episode.
It's so bad, and the characters were so
it's a good
unlikable.
episode. Shut the hell up.
Like almost all of them.
Look, Lincoln ruined Lori and Bobby's relationship. It kind of does make sense. I understand Ronnie Ann was definitely a big bully to Lincoln, but I'm like,
like they made Lincoln stupid because he just repeated the same mistakes that he did like at the beginning. They made Lori so unlikable because she didn't think for a minute to ask Lincoln,
oh my God,
why he did this. Because let's be honest, he had a legitimate good reason to say all these things about Ronnie Ann. She was deliberately bullying him. So, of course, he's going to vent out. Of course, he's going to say those things.
This is also season 1 Lori. This is also season 1 Lori, where Lori was mostly like the kind of a jerk in the first season, if you come to think about it.
Oh, no. Lori was horrible in this. Horrible. Because
oh my God. How dare you do that to my favorite Loud? How dare you do that to my favorite Loud? I hate you now. How dare you say that to my favorite Loud? Oh my God.
The good thing about this, though, is that, like, this is season 1 Lori, bear in mind. So during that, like, season, this is before she became much more reasonable. She became much more fleshed out. So thankfully, the Lori between then and now is day and night. But, oh my God. Like, Lori, the way she freaked out over Lincoln was just like, okay, like, first off, you put your relationship, you put your own first world problems over the fact that Lincoln might get bullied at school. Like, seriously? Are you kidding me? What is wrong with you? And honestly, just by the fact that she even like brings out a table at one point and she was about to throw it at Lincoln just because Lincoln didn't want to go on the thing that she forced him to go. Like, honestly, I'm just like, yeah, no, seriously, screw that Lori Loud. I'm so glad she changed. Like, ever since that, like, and also just by the fact that, of course, you got Clyde being a huge jerk, like being a jealous.
Oh, he definitely wants to. He definitely wants to have Lori for himself. I'm like, come on, bro.
And just by the fact that, like, he tries to pretty much sabotage Lincoln's plan just to fulfill his own selfish needs. I'm just like, okay, like pretty much I swear to God, almost every character in this episode is either stupid or selfish. Like, that's kind of the thing that really breaks the episode for you. Like, almost every character in this was so unlikable. And like, just by the simple fact that like pretty much like I said, the only saving grace was the musica, but other than that, I'm sorry, but the episode itself is like, I don't like this episode. I'm sorry.
Where would you put it?
Honestly, like, if it weren't for the musica, I would have put it in like the lowest tier, but because of musica,
oh no,
D minus. Like, this episode it is a D. It is a D for me.
I am not. I
don't like this episode.
I'm totally bringing this up. We're totally total opposites in this episode. I believe this is one of my favorite episodes of the Loud House, and I know everybody's gonna probably hate me for saying that, but I love it. I mean, like, yes, it's the start of Ronniekin. Definitely Ronnie Ann and Lincoln. They definitely have the different dynamics. I understand Ronnie Ann is definitely bullying Lincoln, and I understand Lincoln didn't want to be here. I do love the fact that, like, in the end they do end up kissing, and I'm like, okay, start of Ronniekin, right? This is the start of Ronniekin, but I know this is just a whole play and everything. I'm like, oh my God, this is nonetheless. I mean, I do love how the dynamic of Ronnie and Lincoln were like, oh my God, they're bullies, they hate each other, and now they actually love each other after this. Either way, I feel like Lori did help Lincoln out. Especially, I understand it's definitely a forced date, but in the end, they actually did mend their friendship too. So I thought, and then you don't have, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have Ronnie Ann in like the Casagrandes and everything like that. So I have to say, this may have the start of like maybe Lori being like very angry at Lincoln and everything like that. But I have to say, this definitely was a funny episode for you to watch. I loved how the dynamic was when it comes to Ronnie Ann and Lincoln, and how they became enemies to become friends, to become pretty much lovers. And the one little scene where they kissed, definitely a huge. I just feel like it's just a fun episode overall. I give it an A. Okay, so Omi good to D, we give it to A. Are we averaging out to like C now in this case?
Not to mention that I feel that the kiss was too soon because they haven't fully developed the relationship.
I thought that was
yet.
Cute. I thought that was adorable. This just began the whole Ronnie Kid thing, and I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. I love it. I just like how Ronnie and Lincoln now became like friends, to say.
So what was your rating?
I would give it an A.
Okay, at least you didn't put it in S tier because
No,
God
no,
knows it's definitely not.
there is flaws in this episode, but I still think it's like one of my cult favorites to say. So whenever I watch Save the Date, I definitely love it, just the way I love watching it. So yeah, Save the Date is A for me. So we're gonna put it in the C because I'll be giving a very low rating. I'm like, it's so good. It's so funny. I love everything about it. How dare you not see that? Oh my god.
Save the Date sucks.
Oh my god! All
Save the
right, but
Date
see,
sucks.
this is the reason why we love these Tiermaker stuff, right? You always go on debates, like huge debates like this. Save the Date is an amazing episode for me. I think it's an amazing episode. Y'all can, whatever. All right, let's calm down. Let's move on. Let's go to the next episode, Overnight Success. It's the episode where what was it? Lincoln tries to like get his science project done, but of course the siblings are pretty much making a ruckus when it comes to the house. He couldn't be able to get parental help, so he went to the Clyde's dad's to get parental help. Oh wait, was that it, or was it a different one?
Overnight Success is
that's a different thing. I'm sorry. Overnight Success was the sleepover episode where like Lincoln and Clyde, Lincoln and Clyde were doing a sleepover, and unfortunately Lincoln wants to do all these plans, but Clyde was with his sisters as well, so in the end they didn't end up not having a sleepover. But you understand why Lincoln is kind of like being selfish in this episode. All right, so your thoughts on this one, and where does this go in the tier list?
I'm gonna have to say B tier. It's definitely like, okay, now this is the episode that sort of like, what was it? The episode that
we're getting close to finishing it. Okay.
This is an episode that made history. And it's sort of like, it broke boundaries. Like this is an episode
because we get to see Clyde's dad for the first time, yes.
And that's what makes me respect this episode. But like it's one of those episodes where it's like, simple and pretty much follows the, typical Lincoln Loud plot where he tries to get something, but tries to get it, and then it ends up backfiring. And so then he comes around, makes this right, learns what being a man is all about, blah, blah, blah. And so because of that, I'm going to have to say, and I do like Clyde bonding with the Loud sisters. It was pretty awesome. So all in all, B tier.
Okay, B tier for you sounds good. I gotta give this into the C tier. Yes, I understand the big impact when it comes to Clyde's dad being revealed. But I didn't like how this episode was for Lincoln, especially with the fact that like, oh, my plan for being a great sleepover didn't work because my sisters were the ones being involved. Kind of a little bit huge selfish Lincoln here, but I like how in the end he ended up actually bringing the sisters back, and yeah, it turned out to be great for him. But yeah, it was kind of an average episode when it comes to watching it, so I give it a C tier. We average that out. That we technically become the B tier in this case. So Overnight Success will be in the B tier in this one.
Okay.
All right. Next is Snowboard. It's Snowboard, the episode where was it? The Louds are pretty much celebrating a snow day, but Lisa wants to extend that snow day because of the snowball fights and all. Okay, so Snowboard, where would you put that in the tier list?
Snowboard, I would say a B tier also. Because of how you pretty much see the Loud sisters and Lincoln try to show Lisa how fun snow is, and then she comes around to pretty much like she doesn't like snow at first, but then she grows to love it when she gets into snowball fights. So I do like the fact that you see crazy Lisa throwing all these snowballs. It was really fun to watch, and then she pretty much turns the entire Loud house into a giant battleground of fortresses, whatever.
Yep.
All in all, B tier. Nothing much to say.
I gotta say this though. This is the first time we get to see Lisa kind of unhinged. We're like, oh yeah, he could be the genius and kind of say something like bad about snow and things like that. But when she comes to snowball fight, she starts having FON fun. So I feel like this was definitely an episode where we get to see Lisa just be so different and everything, because we never get to see much of Lisa episodes, and for one of the first Lisa episodes, I think this was definitely a nice one for him. So yeah, I would go with Omid here and I'll go for the B tier as well. So Snowboard for us is B tier.
Yeah, nothing but good FON fun.
All right, next up is Under Pressure. This is the episode where it was a rainy day. The Louds are pretty much betting to see what was it? What was the thing that they did? It was some sort of bet thing.
Yeah, they did a bet where
where he has to be fully clothed. He has to be fully clothed throughout his time, like wearing comics, not to be shown his underwear or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty much pretty much so Lincoln and the Loud Sisters made a bet that like Lincoln has to pretty much um, make sure he doesn't fall into his habit before
Mm-hmm.
the Loud Sisters fall into their habits. So
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so where would you put Undie Pressure in the tier
A,
list?
I thoroughly
Ooh.
enjoyed
Okay.
This Is Ourselves Under Pressure.
No,
Anyway,
not the Queen song.
so anyway, so I really do like this episode just by the simple fact that it's pretty much like a game where you pretty much see each of the Loud siblings trying so hard to make sure that they don't fall into their annoying habits and they struggle with it as much as they can. Of course, one of my favorite ones being like Luna pretty much trying to switch her voice to Swedish so that she doesn't, have a British accent.
Oh God.
Easy peasy.
Yeah,
I
I
just
remember
switch
that.
to Swedish, va? And then she tries to secretly get into the radio and she tries to whisper, like, come on, love, hand David those tickets. And then, and then she tries to say, hand over the bleeding tickets, mate.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I love it. Love it. I expect nothing less from my girl. And then also, you do see, like, the more they get into the game, the more deep Lola goes into it, and up to the point where she becomes like the Joker. Like she has
right, because her makeup became the Joker.
yeah, she can't use a mirror to put on her lipstick and everything, so of course her makeup's all messed up. And
Mm-hmm.
so I like the fact that she's pretty much like the not even that, like not even that she has the Joker, the makeup of Joker, but also her psychoticness like heavily reminds me of the Joker. Like honestly, it's at a point where I'm just like, okay, yeah, like even Lowell Lau is a better Joker than Jared Leto's Joker. I'm just gonna say that because yeah, Jared Leto's Joker is straight up trash Joker that even a Nickelodeon character with bad makeup is more Joker than Jared.
Okay, so where would you put this in the list? Oh, A, right?
Yeah.
I would agree with you too. I was actually thinking this was going to be the S tier because it definitely was a very fun episode to watch. Just the fact that like it was pretty much an elimination game, kind of feels like total drama where you get to see like everybody get eliminated here and there because they made a bad move. Luna, saying some British, and of course she gets eliminated. You get to see Lori hang out with Bobby, she gets eliminated. Lana going into mud, she gets eliminated. That kind of stuff. I thought that was funny, especially the X like. So I like the whole sound effect and everything. So I thought this was a whole fun, wholesome episode. And I get to the end too, where like, yeah, Lincoln lost. Lily was able to actually win, but yeah, I thought it was a really fun episode overall. So yeah, Under Pressure definitely wasn't the A tier for me. I was thinking S because it definitely was up there. It was really fun to watch, but A actually would be reasonable up there.
Cool.
All right, next up is Get the Message. This is the episode where Lincoln gave a bad message to Lori, and Lincoln had to do whatever it takes to make sure Lori doesn't listen to that message. Okay, your thoughts and which tier should this go to in the tier list?
I'm about to say that like this is one of the very first episodes. So hell, this is practically like the second episode of Loud House ever. So of course you would expect it to be this simple. I'm about to say B tier.
Really? I had to say this though for Get the Message. I was more of a C tier for me. I mean, I love the whole spy thing where like Lincoln and Clyde will do whatever it takes to get sure Lori doesn't read the message. And in the end, Lori does read the message. Or more like he does read the message because Lincoln kind of slipped up and he left the paper so that Lori actually read it. And also the whole line saying, I'm gonna turn Lincoln into a human pretzel. So I gotta say this, like it's a C for me. We're gonna average it out. Omid says B, I said C. I would say C level in for Get the Message. Would you think so on that one? Okay. So Get the Message is a C tier for us. All right, next up is Two Boys and a Baby. This is the episode where you get to see Lincoln and Clyde take care of Lily and it all fails for them. All right, Omid, which tier should Two Boys and a Baby be?
Yeah, Nate. If you recall, Two Boys and a Baby is an episode I've never been so fond of.
I remember.
I think that this is the very first episode of Loud House that I legitimately hate. Now here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. Now, I like the first 2 minutes of the episode where you do see Lincoln pretty much explain his flashbacks about Aunt Ruth, and then you see like Lincoln pretty much you pretty much see Lincoln seeing like Lynn Senior or the sisters and Rita like pretty much leave for Aunt Ruth, and then they leave, and then the family leaves in such a defeated look, and then Lori's like lucky, and then I like that the first 2 minutes. It goes downhill from there. Oh man, does it go downhill from there? Like, not only is it extremely gross, like I swear, there's diaper and poo jokes everywhere.
Oh
Seriously,
yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
I hate those. I hate that kind of toilet humor. But it's the typical babysitting cliche. Like it's a typical. It is so cliche. Like it follows beat by beat. You know exactly where the episode's gonna go. Like, and so because of that, it makes the episode very, very predictable. Not to mention the jokes themselves aren't that funny. So honestly, just I like the whole Lincoln and Lily. Here's the thing. I love the whole Lincoln and Lily bonding thing, but the thing is, though, is that we've seen a season 1 episode that's done much better than this. But with Two Boys the Baby, it's pretty much your run-of-the-mill babysitting, like trying to get the baby before the baby gets to harm kind of thing. Like we've done this, we see that kind of episode, we see that kind of purpose done in like the 1950s and 1960s, the classic cartoons. So honestly, it's been done to death, and it's not that funny. It's kind of it's pretty bad. I'm just gonna say it's an F.
It's an F. Wow, right straight to the F tier for Two Boys and a Baby. Now, I gotta give it its grace, considering that I believe this is Lincoln and Clyde's first time even babysitting. Because, like, yeah, they're just 10-year-old kids. Do they even know how to babysit people? So I feel like this definitely was like a one thing for Lincoln and Clyde, considering that there's so many like antics that happen. Like, they lost the baby, they have to find the baby, and I thought that was just hilarious. So for me, it would put it in the D tier, but Omi puts it in F. We're gonna keep it in the D tier if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep it in D. Omi doesn't want it. I'm pretty sure doesn't want it. Okay, next up, Study Muffin. This is the episode where Lincoln was failing on a certain thing because of what is it? Because of the sisters always googling when it comes to Lincoln's teacher, and nonetheless, also Lincoln was also having a problem with learning, considering the fact that he also likes Mrs. Burton, no, Mrs. DiMartino in the in the episode as well. All right, so your thoughts and where does this go in the tier list?
I thought it was quite good. Like I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty funny seeing like the sisters, like especially Lisa making that creepy face towards.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
it was pretty funny, pretty iconic.
Yeah.
And then you kind of see like the Loud sisters pretty much fawning over Hugh. You see there's so many Lincolns like fawning over Miss DiMartino. By the way, Luna's bi, so this does make sense for her character to fall for a guy like that. So all in all, not much to say here. I'm just gonna say that it is a B tier.
Yeah. I thought it was an okay episode. I mean, obviously the girls really like Hugh. Obviously Lincoln loves this is DiMartino and all the hotness and stuff like that. I understand like everybody's just trying to be like all googly eyed and stuff like that. I understand why Lincoln kind of like is so distracted about that. And it just feels like this episode was not bad overall. But I gotta say, not that entertaining from the way I saw it. I gotta give this into the C tier for Study Muffin. Okay. So in this case, you said B, I say C. We'll average it out to C. Do you want to like that?
That's fine.
All right, C. So we want to give some like leverage towards the A, B, and C. We have a lot of S, A, and Bs. All right, next up is Along Came a Sister. This is the episode where Lenny has a sphere of spiders, and of course, the Lincoln's trying his best to make sure that the class pet spider, doesn't get squished by Lenny or doesn't get killed by Lenny. Okay, so which tier do you think this episode goes to?
I'm gonna have to say it is a B tier.
Oh, okay.
Or actually, A minus or B plus, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Like I thought it was a really great episode that delves into Lenny's phobia of spiders, and then that iconic line, "You're lactose intolerant. No, I'm not. I'm calling of everyone whether they lactose or not.
Lactose or not. Oh god damn it, Lenny. But no,
And
this was a good episode. Yeah, this is a
I
good
like the
episode for
climax.
Lenny. Yeah.
And I like the climax how like the Loud siblings tried to save a spider from that exterminator guy, and then it turns out that Lenny comes to save the spider. Like she tries to get over her phobia, and she tries to be brave for Lincoln because you know, like she doesn't want Lincoln to get in trouble. So I like the fact that she goes out of her way to save him. And so I'm gonna say A minus or B plus.
Okay, so I was gonna say A on this one, just because this episode was just absolutely exciting, and the fact that Lenny Loud was the featured character in this show, because it just tells you like, okay, I understand Lenny is a ditz, but then also at the same time you understand why Lenny is scared to spiders, and it all happens during Halloween where Clyde dressed up as a spider and he was about to get poisoned by Lenny and stuff like that. I have to say this was a fun, entertaining episode to save a spider, and of course Lenny just rescuing Frank at the end of the day. So overall, I thought this was just fun, just a really good episode. So yeah, A for me as well. So we're putting A Long Game of Sister in A.
Yeah,
that's piling up, by the way. The A is really piling up now. This tells you like season 1 definitely has amazing episodes. All right, next up, Dance Resolution. It's the episode where Lincoln didn't want to go to a dance. He wants to go to Gus's Games and Grub, but Ronnie Ann is the main reason why he would love to go to the dance. But yeah, a lot of things go awry here. We also get to see a lot of other characters that also pop up as well, like Haiku, and Luna's friend and Luann's friend, and a lot of people. A lot of side characters that didn't get the show, that didn't get like much screen time after this episode, but besides Haiku. All right, so that's his resolution. Where would you put this in the tier list?
A tier. Now, honestly, like I'm just gonna say this right now. Like this is to me the real start of Ronikin. Like honestly, because like this is the very first Ronikin episode that's actually legitimately good. Like Dance Dance Resolution, you got Lincoln trying to hide from Ronnie Yan because he doesn't want to go out on the date. He wants to go to the arcade. But it turns out that we see Ronnie Yan's more tomboyish side to her, and it turns out she wants to go to the arcade too. She's not the dance for saying. I'm just like, yes, I love Ronnie Yan already. She's a tomboy. She loves arcade games as much as Lincoln. And so they dance together, not on the dance floor, but Dance Dance Resolution. So I like the fact, and honestly, this is the first episode that really sparks Ronikin to me. Like just like them talking, bonding, and all that stuff. Like, and then like Ronnie Ann bopping Lincoln in the nose. I'm just like, that is Ronikin energy right there. Of course, like the other dates, like, the first appearance of Haikyuu. Like, this is the first appearance of Haikyuu, and she's the only one out of, like, Lincoln's dates that actually does have a prominent role in the show. Like, where's Tabby? I want to know where Tabby is. Come on.
Yeah,
I know. Tabby dirty.
I have the giggles, too. I forgot about her and Polly Payne.
Polly Payne.
Yeah.
Polly Payne. I'm just like, where were they? But Haikyuu gets a major role. It's like, you have to feel bad for the other.
I don't know. I feel bad for the others too. I understand that, but no doubt about it. I mean, you're actually on point there because it kind of starts Ronikin. I mean, Ronikin kind of started, but to me, Ronikin kind of started with Save the Date, but then it definitely sparked it a whole lot more with the fact Dance Dance Resolution. We get to see Lincoln and Ronnie Ann dance. They hanged out at Gus's Games and Grub. There's a lot of like good moments between the two of them that you kind of feel like Ronnie Ann and Lincoln definitely are a thing. Like, oh my God, this was a fun episode to watch as well. So I got to put this as well in A. And yeah, Dance Dance Resolution definitely is an A.
Definitely.
Next up is April Fool's Rules. This is the first episode of Luann's April Fool's like trilogy, or 5 episode if you want to discuss that. Yeah, it's the first episode where we would get to see Luann go. So your thoughts, and where should it be in the tier list?
Oh my God. You don't know how much I love Luann's April Fool's episodes. I really do love them. Like, it really does bring out the evil genius prankster side of Luann. She's shown to be very smart and very creative with her pranks, and not to mention by the fact that it pretty much plays as sort of a battleground for pranks in April Fool's. So I really do love that idea. I love the fact that like they take Luann's like creative prankster side, because she's into comedy, funny stuff, and pranks are no exception because pranks are comedy and fun stuff. So, and also, I love Ronnie Ann's role in this. How she throws a pie in the van. That was really nice, like because it shows
Oh, I love
more
how
Ronnie
yeah,
again.
and then again, more Ronnie moments happening here, where Lincoln tries to save Ronnie Yan from all the pranks that Luann was gonna do.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this right now. It's gonna be an A tier. An A tier
Oh man.
because why couldn't the parents do something about this? You would think that
Well, the
since
parents were
like
actually like, scared of Luann as well. So I'm assuming Luann definitely is a
you would think that as authoritative figures they would put Luann in their place, but no, they actually turned out to be kind of cowardly.
uh-huh. I was actually leaning towards B for April Fool's Rules. There are actually other like better April Fool's episodes when you look back at like Fool's Paradise twice. So I thought those were like a little bit more of like in that big tier. So I put this in the B. It wasn't actually as great compared to like April Fool's Paradise, which was a huge adventure between the Louds and Luann. So I gotta say this is a B tier, but we'll average it out. We'll put that into A as well. So April Fool's Rules is an A for us.
Cool.
All right, next up is Hand Me Downer. It's the episode where Lincoln gets all these hand me downs, and the bike was definitely the one hand me down that was more focused in this episode. It wasn't until Lincoln ruined Lynn's bike that things get like kind of awry. So yeah, it's just more of a hand me downer lesson in this one. I mean, how would you rate Hand Me Downer? Which tier would you put it in?
Hand Me Downer, I would say, is a B tier.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
because it's a very relatable concept of how Lincoln pretty much tries to what was it? So Lincoln has this bike, right? And then it's pretty much a bike that's handed down by like his sisters, but then he doesn't want to ride with it because he's too embarrassed because like the boys like Rusty's one of the boys that made fun of Lincoln, and then he turns out to
And then
be
becomes
Lincoln's
his best friend. How did that happen?
What a turn, right? What a turn.
Yeah, what a turn for him. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so and so like he tries to get Lynn's bike disguised as his bike, like make it so that Lynn's bike is his, like in their eyes, but then it kind of turns out to backfire as well. And then I like the fact that how like the Loud Sisters teach Lincoln about hand me downs, about how you know like hand me downs are hand me downs for a reason because they want to pass their stuff on to like their younger siblings, like in case they get too old or too big for those. So like Lori is wearing her mom's girdle.
All right, yeah. I gotta say this for Hand Me Downer. It definitely was a good episode. Definitely a good learning lesson for everybody. For like Lincoln to learn how hand me downers work. That they actually are, heirlooms from their older siblings that they get handed down to like younger siblings. And this was a good episode overall. I'm about to put this in the B tier. I think it was, like I said, great episode, but not like stellar episodes like for A or S when it comes to the grades. But I give this a B. So I'll put this in the B tier if this is all right with you.
Sure.
Okay, next up is It's a Loud House. It's the episode where what was it? They're trying to find money. And in the end, they all teamed up together to find the treasure. So, which tier do you think this episode is in?
I really love this episode. Like it's definitely one of my favorite Loud ensemble episodes, like right up there with Cover Girls, because it's pretty much them like competing with each other to try to find the money, and then they later on work with each other to find the money. It's pretty much it's a mad world or rat race concept, and it leaves me thoroughly engaged with like how each of them like they pretty much go in sort of like this battle to try to get the money, and then they come around. It's just really awesome to see the competitiveness, the competition between each of the siblings. So I'm starting to say this A tier.
I gotta go with the A tier as well. I actually really enjoyed this episode. Definitely was one of my favorite episodes of season one. Seeing the Louds just try to compete for money and stuff like that. We understand it's a struggle, especially for a little kid like Lincoln to find money and everything. So it definitely was it definitely was a favorite of mine. Just seeing them work together, especially getting that treasure. So yeah, definitely an A tier episode for me. All right, so if we both agree with it, A tier for It's a Loud House.
Yeah.
All right, next up is making the case. This is where Lincoln tries to get a trophy to make sure that she's like valued in the family. All right, so where would you put this episode in the tier list?
Oh god, making the case. I'm just going to say it's a D tier.
Oh, what? Really?
Either C or D, because it's pretty much follows the not just like a typical like Lincoln Loud being being the typical selfish boy and then learning to not be selfish at the end. Not only that, but also follows the same formula as like cartoon episodes like this, where it's pretty much like characters, pretty much what was it posting up something bad, like saying something embarrassing, spilling some
where
secrets
Lincoln was
about.
pretty much being the popular person, considering that he was posting up like
No,
all
no,
of his sister's
no.
embarrassing moments.
It's a character pretty much saying bad things and spilling secrets about the ones they love. Uh, you know, in
Yeah, it's
like,
something that you
and
can't
then
you
and
can't
then
do,
and
especially
then
to
the
your sibling.
and then the characters get mad at said character, and then the character feels bad at the end, and then pretty much tries to make it up to them. It's like it follows the same cliche as cartoons, where that kind of
Yeah.
cliche where the characters like pretty much post something bad about post something embarrassing secrets about someone, and then they get mad at them, and then they try to fix it and all this stuff. It follows that like pretty much it's as cliche and as formulaic as you could get.
Yeah. This episode was actually not bad for me. I actually was gonna give it a C range. It was, I understand Lincoln was trying his best to get like all the votes and stuff, but it is like a risk where you actually get to post up embarrassing photos of your sister, which is kind of like uncool from Lincoln in his case, because like, yeah, it's not cool to actually post embarrassing spots with your sister. So but I thought it was like funny overall, especially in the end where like Lincoln will actually post his most embarrassing moments, and the whole sisters were also into that as well. So in my case, it's C. Omid says D, so we're gonna average it out and put it into the C range, right?
Sure.
C range for making the case. All right, next up is Raw Deal. This is the episode where Lucy gave a bad prediction to Lincoln, and now he was pretty much being cautious throughout their vacation. Which tier do you think Raw Deal is in?
Raw Deal, I would say, is a I kind of have to say A minus or B plus, most probably B plus.
Really? You're actually that high on that grade? Interesting.
Because I like the idea of Lucy. Well, excuse me. I like the idea of like Lincoln trying to be like superstitious. Because you do see, coincidentally enough, like Lucy's predictions do come true. When you see like all the fortunes that she shares with the sisters, it's only until Lincoln, it's only until Lisa's fortune about how you'll see like something remarkable or something like that turns out to be fake. It's actually not a dowel. It's actually turned out to be antlers glued to an owl. That it actually turns out, it was actually fake after all. It's completely the fortunes were not true after all. So it kind of teaches a lesson. It teaches a lesson how you shouldn't let fear and superstition get to you. Just enjoy life.
Okay, well, I don't think this was. I was bringing. I don't think it's going to be like an A episode to say. I would say this was more like a C episode, kind of like in the average more range here. I do like the whole predictions that make Lincoln so cautious when it comes to like this vacation and all. So yeah, for me, I would say this is a C. So if we average it out, Omid gets A, I get C. We're gonna put this in the B tier. So Raw Deal's in the B tier for us.
I kind of like that ending. I kind of like that ending where it's like Lucy's pulls off a fortune. It's like the end is near.
And then the end came up.
Oh please, don't be so preposterous. And then boom, it cuts to the end card. It cuts to the end card. It's like
Lucy. Yeah, Lucy definitely had some like. Yeah, Lucy definitely had like some great funny moments in that episode. Yeah. All right, we only have 12 episodes left to review. We're kind of like in the long run right here, so we should probably like do it quick as soon as possible. 3 hours in the stream. We should probably get this done as soon as possible. All right. Next up, No Guts, No Glory is the episode where Lori is the overall babysitter, but Lincoln tries to be the overall babysitter, and he turned out to fail, which made Lori become the overall babysitter to make sure that the Loud House is back to normal. Your thoughts, and where should this be in the tier list?
A tier, because it presents like Lori's character development. It presents why Lori has to be as harsh as she does because, well, let's face it, like without her, without an authoritative figure, the Loud siblings, the Loud house would crumble. It would pretty much be a disaster. And so Lincoln tries to be the Mr. Fun guy, but even he gets sick of it. He turns into the bad guy himself. And so at the end, they pretty much have Lincoln and Lori team up to put everything back together before the parents get home, and then they bond over video games at the end. And
which I thought was actually really nice. Definitely a good bonding moment. This is a good bonding Lori and Lincoln moment for sure, and I definitely love it. But I gotta give this to you. I'm gonna do the same thing as you, Omid. I believe this is definitely one awesome episode, so I gotta give this into the A tier as well. So yeah, put it into the A tier.
And did you see why I'm talking like it's because I'm on a speed run throughout the remaining episodes?
Yeah, because we're going fast. we're doing this too long. We're discussing way too much. That's why. Okay, next up, Come Sail Away. This is the episode where all the Loud siblings are trying to sell their stuff for like a competition, trying to get the most money. Okay, Omid, where would you put this in the tier list?
I'll put this in the B tier because it shows this like sibling rivalry about trying to sell as much items as possible. But then again, no. Probably C because oh god, no, the turkey seed. Don't get me started.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, I take it back. It's not B. It's C. Like that turkey seed alone lowers it down. It was so cringe. I couldn't take it.
My favorite episode overall. The whole twerking ending scene is definitely stupid, but overall the episode was more of like, oh, because they lost their baby, they lost Lily's blankets, the reason why they need to exchange all their money and everything like that. I was like, this episode definitely didn't really have a good learning lesson to say. But yeah, I gotta give this a D. That's not in my grade. So if we average it out, I gotta kind of want to lean it towards D. I'm sorry, it's Come Sail Away looks more of a D episode to me.
All right.
So yeah, there we go. All right, Link or Swim. This is the episode where Lincoln, tried to find a pool of his own because they all got banned from the other pools, and pretty much not let his sisters take over a pool or anything like that. So your thoughts on Link or Swim? Where should this be in the tier list?
A B.
Really? Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because it shows like Lincoln trying to have a pool of his own, but then the sisters interfere, and then Lincoln pretty much learns that the pool time is fun time with all of them. All that stuff, and then of course you see like you actually turn out to have like a bunch of cameos of other Nickelodeon characters like
Grandpa Phil. That one scene. Yeah, I remember that.
Grandpa Phil, Miss Fowl, Uncle Iroh himself. It was all good stuff. I'll not much to say about that.
Yeah, but I do like the episode here. I would actually put it in the B tier as well. Yeah, it definitely was a learning lesson for Lincoln. I know he's trying to still be selfish and make sure has his own pool to say. But in the end, I love how the family just continues to help Lincoln out and also get him into the pool. They still broke the pool, and nonetheless, they still shared the pool at the end. So in the end, it all worked out for the family. So I give this in the B tier for Link or Swim. Did you say B2 as well?
I said B, yeah.
Okay. Next up, Serial Offender. This is the episode where the Louds try to go to a shopping spree, and the Loud sisters were a nuisance to Lincoln, and he couldn't be able to get a cereal. Okay, your thoughts on Serial Offender, and where should it be in the tier list for you?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to put this as a D. The Loud sisters were way too obnoxious. It's like, have they never been to a grocery store before? Like seriously, do they not know how to behave in a grocery store? I'm sorry. It was just their obnoxiousness was way too much for me.
Yeah, this is definitely was not one of my favorite episodes either. But I was actually fond of it being an average episode, but leaning towards like the C- range. So it's like really not that great. Like I only have a little bump just because it was Lincoln like leading the whole crew and everything. And of course the end where they all the sisters were giving him like the cereal, which I thought was really nice of her. So yeah, I gotta give this. We're gonna put this in the D section. So Serial Offender is definitely not one of our favorite episodes. All right, next up, Changing the Baby. This is the episode where Lincoln and Lily were trying to have some bonding moments, but at the same time, the Loud siblings were also trying to have their bonding moments with Lily. And in the end, Clyde and Lily were the end product. Your thoughts, and where should this be in the tier list?
Okay, now that is a legitimately good season 1 Lincoln and Lily episode. Unlike that other episode,
2 boys and a baby.
This one, like it contains much less gross humor and contains much more heart. Like, especially you do see Lincoln and Lily bonding. Of course, out of all the siblings, I'm just gonna say this right now, Lincoln has the deepest bond with Lily the most because Lily's more impressionable. She's a baby. She doesn't have much interest, unlike her older sisters. So of course, Lincoln tries to mold her into becoming, the mini him in a sense, by showing her comics, by having her wear his clothes. Um, Overall, though, despite him trying to change her into, a mini him, you do see the love and bond between Lincoln and Lily. It's just so heartwarming. So I'm gonna
I
have to
think this,
say
I
A tier, A tier.
Oh, I really an A tier for you. I thought this was just more of a B tier for me. I really did like the bonding between Lincoln and Lily, but then of course when it comes to the sisters trying to also play their part and trying to bond with Lily as well, it became like a competition. And also in the ending where like Clyde, the whole episode was kind of cringy considering like Clyde is like wondering why is Lincoln not hanging out with me? He's like, oh, but Lily more? I try to be a baby too, and I'm like, what the hell? That was
Yeah, it
like,
was
why
so
Clyde? Why
cringe.
would you do that?
It was so cringe,
Yeah, I
man.
actually would put it like B minus in this case. So you said A, I said B minus. So we'll put it in the B section for Chaining the Baby.
Sure.
Okay, next up is Toads and Tiaras. This is the episode where Lincoln, what was it? Lola tried to win a pageant, but she ended up breaking her arm. So Lana would have to be taking care of his place. But then you have Lincoln trying to be like the best like judge or the best coach when it comes to a pageant queen like Lola. Your thoughts on Toads and Tiaras? And which tier
Um,
should this be in?
I really love Totes and Tiaras. It's definitely one of those few episodes, one of the first episodes I'm gonna say, yeah, this is one of my favorites. It's been typical. It's a My Fair Lady trope,
Mhm.
and it's done in a way that feels unique. It stands out as its own thing because you got Lana and Lola contrasting each other. You got Lincoln trying to mold Lana into being a perfect little lady, but then it's just not her. And so Lincoln learns to embrace Lana's differences, be to have Lana be herself, even at the cost of Dairyland tickets. But then it turns out that they won the tickets anyway because, Lana actually did win for Lola. And then angry Lola,
Oh,
you
I
just see,
love that.
love it.
They're
Very,
rooting me, and they will pay.
very nice use of Greg Griffin's voice acting. I just love it. And you see that, and then you see Lola does show her hard side and her soft side to her because like she uh says that she does respect a winner when Lana wins. So I really do love that. Um all in all, Toasted Tiaras I would say is an A tier.
Hmm. I gotta say this. This is one of my favorite episodes of the Loud House. I really love Toads and Tiaras. Definitely an amazing moment for Lana, especially the fact that she could be able to actually like live up to whatever Lola's standards are. And then I love the whole wholesome moment where Lana's like, I'm not like Lola. And then Lincoln, like in the end, like, do your best performance. And in the end, Lana still ended up winning the whole pageant. So I thought this was absolutely cute. I put this in S tier. I love this episode. This is definitely a wholesome episode for me. Um, do you want to put it to S tier, Omid, for Toes and
Yeah.
Tiaras?
Now that I think about it, I would say S minus. S minus.
S minus, but
Because
we'll
I
put it in the
because
S.
I
We're gonna
because
put
I
this
was
in the S tier.
because I was debating whether to give it an S or an A.
We're gonna put that in the S tier. I love Toes and Tiaras. It's definitely one of my favorite episodes. All right, we only have 6 episodes to go, and then we can finally turn up this long podcast. What we're gonna do is probably gonna split into 2 instead. So just a heads up there. We're putting into 2 videos for YouTube. All right, let's go start off with the Fair to Remember. This is the episode where Lori and Bobby were supposed to be on a date, but Bobby was hanging out with Lincoln more. Which tier do you think this should be in?
I definitely want to say it's A tier because the comedy of it was very
Hmm.
spot on. And then you do see like Lori trying to pretty much make Bobby jealous by hanging out with Clyde, but then Clyde's kind of like unconscious. And so you see I love Bobby and Lincoln's broship, their bromance,
Yeah,
because
I love the bromance too. I thought that was cool seeing Lincoln and Bobby having the bromance too, considering that Bobby never had a brother.
yeah, and Lincoln never had a brother either. So I love their whole dynamic. And then of course, Lincoln comes around to understand that Lori needs Bobby also. So I love the fact that Lincoln explains to Bobby that Lori needs you. She's your girlfriend, and Bobby's like, "You're such a bro."
Yeah, it's so great. um, I'd say this though. This definitely was one of my okay episode. Not really much like huge things happened in this episode, but I totally see like what was it? Bobby trying to hang out with Lincoln, but then this is the weird part. It also happened too. Lori also hanging out with Clyde. So it's like, oh god, Clyde was just pretty much unconscious throughout the whole thing. So it's like, oh, he pretty much put glasses on, and I'm like, I understand Lori's trying to like make sure Bobby's jealous or something like that. So I thought that was like kind of weird, but yeah, I gotta put this in the B minus. You say A in your case. I put this in B minus, so we'll put this in the B section for a fair to remember.
Sure.
All right, next up, A Sound of Silence. This is the episode where Lincoln really wants like a peaceful day of silence. This is why he bought those, earbuds. But in the end, all these stuff happens to Lincoln because he was silent throughout the whole throughout the whole episode. This all led up to pretty much them knowing that the sisters knowing that he was not listening. So where would you put this in the tier list?
Honestly, when it comes to this one, I'm just gonna have to say that it's an okay episode. Of course, it pretty much follows the same formula that you think it does. But then keep in mind it was one of the very first Lincoln episodes to be released, so it doesn't bother me all that much. So honestly, all in all, I'm gonna have to say it's a B tier. It's nothing really that special. It's Lincoln Loud putting on earphones to mute the noise, but then he learns not to mute the noise, and he learns the hard way when Lola. Oh my god! I think the best part of this that's like Lola Loud, where all the
he's
the
got
Loud
the mean
sisters
grin and everything, right?
Yes, where the Loud sisters tell her
you
can't
me.
Loud sisters tell her, you can't make Lola loud. Did I ever tell you about the pudding incident? Did I ever tell you about?
Oh, that yeah. Don't want to make Lola mad.
Yeah, exactly. I really love that. I love how they build up Lola to be this like angry force that you do not want to reckon with. In this episode, I thought it was really awesome.
Dude, Lola's grin though was the one thing that got
Lola's
me.
grin was
that's okay.
spot on character animation right there. Just by how they over exaggerate Lola's, evil bratty princess persona. Like they pretty much go all out with it. It's what really makes Lola such an enjoyable character for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is definitely like in that C tier as well. So you explained pretty much everything about how Silence is. I do love Lola's character in this episode. Like they're all like scared that Lola would definitely do something bad for Lincoln, but in the end it was just more like we knew that you didn't listen to us. So yeah. I thought that was a good twist and everything. So yeah, I would say it would be C. It would be like I would say B. You said B yourself, Omid?
Yeah.
Okay, so I changed my mind. I went to C to B, so we can put it into the B section here for Silence. All right, 4 more episodes left. Let's start it off with Ties That Bind. This is the episode where like all the Loud siblings were thinking like they were gonna leave, but then they're all thinking that Lincoln was gonna be the one that's gonna stay, and then they were thinking he was gonna leave. There's a lot of like messed up confusion when it comes to them pretty much overhearing about ties. Where would you put this in the tier list?
Yeah, about Ties That Bind. Now there are most parts that worked, but there's one particular scene that botched down this episode for me. You all know the one. It's Lincoln Loud's worst moment yet in this entire series. Yes, it's the one where Lincoln fantasizes about throwing his sisters in the curb just so that he can fill his house with stupid crap. Filled with video games.
And be part of the only child club. Be part of the only child club.
Are you kidding me? Like, are you for real? Lincoln, what the flip is wrong with you, man? Like you would think that, oh my gosh, you would think that like Lincoln would be so heartless. Like he would put his own needs before like his own sisters. Like he would leave it, he would be more than glad, like just like 5 seconds, he would be glad to pretty much leave his sisters to be kicked down to starve to death just so that he can do his own things like go-karts and video games. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but honestly, I know it's a brief moment, but it's a moment that just pisses me off to no end. It really does show how season 1 Lincoln could be such a twit. Like Lincoln, season 1 Lincoln Loud could be such a twit, and this is one of the prime examples of that.
This is just one episode where it's just a whole misunderstanding, and it's like, wow, people are really reacting to this. The Loud siblings were doing their best to be nice, and then they thought that they're the ones that are going to be gone. I remember seeing Lola and Lana like trying to be nice and everything for their brother, like to go to their bathroom first. After you, after you. Oh, Lincoln, you go first. You know, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, this was a really good episode. I put this in the D section. So
yeah, you see, it would have been a C if it wasn't for the moment I was talking about. Oh my God. Yo, that grin, that Lincoln grin face, like,
oh yeah, I remember that. He's trying to be the only child. He's pretty much like
oh,
rich, you know, without
I,
the without
I
without her
honestly
sisters.
don't. I honestly don't think I've seen a more punchable face from Lincoln
Oh
than
my
that moment.
god! Oh my god! Sonny's
I
probably gonna hit you
swear.
for that.
But it was just, to be fair, it was just that moment. And to be even more fair, it was season one Lincoln. So it was before he grew. It was before he learned the many lessons he learned. So to his credit, there was an early start for him.
So we're putting in the D section for ties that bind.
Yeah, and honestly, yeah, I'm just gonna say it's that moment where Lincoln Loud, like the Loud sisters were trying to save Lincoln from being kicked out, and Lincoln was like, wait, even after I tried to, turn your rooms into a go-kart, and then Lola takes the stuff. It's like, it's been nice knowing you, and it's like, yeah, I don't blame Lola. I'm with Lola 100%. I'm just like, honestly,
but then the Loud siblings were like helping him out too.
if I were the Loud sisters after the moment, I'll just be like, okay, screw you, you're out, man. Seriously. Screw you.
Yeah,
Man.
this is not a really real organized episode. So yeah, ties that bind definitely was a D for us. All right, 3 more episodes to go. So let's start off with the first episode of the Loud House, Left in the Dark. We already know this episode. Was it Lincoln's trying to watch Ark, but then the power went out and he couldn't be able to watch the episode. Nonetheless, they still had a fun time with the family. Still ended up having a fun time in the dark. So which tier do you think Left in the Dark should be in?
Left in the Dark, honestly, should be in the A tier.
Hmm.
Yeah, like okay, like I know that it's the very first episode, so I give it full respect for being the very first episode, the one that started it all. However, like this was definitely a enjoyable episode. It's a good way for us to get to know the characters, and we get to know the characters, each of them well, with how they stand out with their own hobbies, their personalities, and all that stuff. This was a nice introduction to the Loud House. So I'm just gonna say A tier. Like it's definitely as simple as it could get, but then again, like I said, it's the first episode, so it's supposed to be that way.
So for the first episode, I actually thought this was very enjoyable. Like Lincoln going through like all of his sisters' like habits and stuff, to make sure that he can watch the show or get on the TV, so that he could get the TV, not like every other sister can. Of course, Lucy being creepy and stuff. So this is the first time we get to see Lucy, and then the whole dynamic of like the family trying to work together to get the lights back on. I thought that was just really awesome to see. And what's weird is that Clyde was definitely into Lori in that episode too. It's like Lori, red alert, overlord, overlord. Oh god. But besides that, I do think this is a really wholesome episode, a really good start to what the Loud House was going to be. And yeah, good starting episode. So I put this in the A section as well. So Left in the Dark is A for us. We're really piling up with the A's. Look at that. Just so many good episodes from the S and A's.
Yeah,
All right,
which is kind of unexpected when you do think about how like season one is sort of like one of the weaker episodes, which is actually a good sign because it shows how the show is getting better and better and better. So
Mhm.
yeah, I actually found it kind of surprising how good season one actually turned out to be, like, even when looking at it now.
Yeah, definitely. All right, 2 more episodes to go. Let's start off with Attention Deficit. This is the episode where Lincoln was trying to finish a school project, but his parents are being busy with the other Loud siblings as well. He would turn to Clyde's dads to do this work, but instead the sisters also did the same thing as well. Which tier do you think this episode goes to?
A tier.
Really?
A or
Really?
B.
That was that good?
A or B. Or maybe B plus. I could say B.
Huh.
It's definitely a nice episode about Lincoln just trying to have his project, be done with the help of like Clyde and his dads, because, well, let's face it, with 11 siblings, the parent schedule can be quite busy. So I you do got to feel for Lincoln here. Like he's just trying to get his project, like he's just trying to get his parents to help the project, but then they're busy with the other siblings. So I can see why he would go to Clyde's dad's well, and of course, Clyde's dads are still the endearing type of fathers that you just want. Like honestly, these are the kind of dads you just want to be part of your life. They're so wholesome. They're really sweet.
Mm-hmm. I definitely have to say this though. It really was a meh episode. I would say this was a C to us, or C to me. Um, just the fact that like Lincoln was trying his best to get like his project done, and his parents could be able to make it, and he ended up going to Clyde's dad's, but then the Loud siblings ended up doing the same thing as well, which I thought was like, okay, well, you went back to square one. What are you gonna do now? And what was great is the fact that like he went back to his parents, and in the end, he ended up getting a big project. So cool. But yeah, I just feel like it's a whole flopsy turvy between these two families, between Clyde's dads and the Loud. So I give this a C in my books. But you said A, so we're gonna average it out to B. All right, we're at the final episode of season 1, and it's one of the boys. It's the episode where Lincoln was imagining that he had brothers instead of sisters. We get to see like Linka, a girl Lincoln in this case. I have my bits on this episode. I love this episode because of the whole Rule 63 that got pretty much changed in this episode. But your thoughts, which tier this episode should go to?
I'll be honest, one of the boys is a guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah, it's our guilty pleasure because it was our episode that got us into cosplaying it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I will always have an appreciation for this episode because it gave me a cosplay idea. But here's the thing though, like when you look at it on the surface, when you really do look at it, it's pretty much a mess in itself. Because like pretty much you see the boys like being all obnoxious and stuff like that. They're pretty much the 10 Lins to be put. And I feel like with the boys, with Lincoln, there could have been like much more than that, much more than typical boys, stereotypical boy stuff like burping, farting.
But this is what bros do. That's the thing. Like this is what bros do.
Yeah, but like the boys are. Yeah, but I feel like how like with the Loud sisters, they pretty much break the stereotype of how a typical girl should be. I feel like with the boys, they pretty much should have broken the stereotype of how a typical boy should be. Like with the girls, it could have been easy just for them to be like all of them to be into pretty ponies, dolls, and teas, and all this stuff. Like imagine if they actually went that route with like the Loud House. Like I feel like that's what one of the boys served as sort of a warning of how like what happens when you write the boys as all one gender, like one all male stereotypes, like, and it really does show how with the boys I feel like there could have been much more.
My thing is that when I looked at this episode, I thought that was cool that they actually put the twist when they pretty much switched the genders when Lincoln is just a bro, and now that he has a bunch of brothers, it looked like the same like family to say. Yes, I understand that they were a little bit roughhousey, the fact that they kept on bullying Lincoln, but is this what bros do? This is what I kind of thought. Like, I know a lot of people kind of overreacting because like, oh, Lincoln got tortured way too much, bro. This is so bad. But this is what brothers do. Like, yeah, they kind of fart on him. They do all these like sick jokes and things like that. And I understand it does get like a little bit messy. But yeah, it was just like an imagination where like Lincoln was thinking about having brothers instead of sisters, and he knows like in the end, like the sisters are definitely gonna be caring for him. They don't just need brothers. And I love the whole interdimensional thing that Lisa did for Lincoln. It just feels like a full-on Rick and Morty situation that happened with them. I thought this was a good episode. I put this in the B tier, but I mean, you put it in where? In what tier do you put this in?
I'm gonna put this in the C minus tier.
C minus tier. Okay, so we're putting in the
it's
C
a guilty
tier.
pleasure of mine. Like it gave me a cosplay idea. I'll always appreciate it for that. But other than that, like I said, Lincoln getting tortured, bullied wasn't really the problem. The problem was that the way the boys were written was not very well done. Like how like the Loud House was all about like each of the Loud sisters having their own dynamic personalities, their own interests, and all that stuff. Like breaking the stereotypical girly cliche. I feel like with one of the boys, they should have done the same, where they each have their own personality instead of being like the rough housing bully boy,
I see.
which was
Okay,
all of them
yeah.
are.
But to be fair, I mean, still, I believe this episode was all right with me. I mean, I kind of raved about it. Remember back when we were like visiting the Loud Crew back
I
in
know.
like yeah, when we went to was it
2017.
Culver City? Yeah, I remember that. I remember like raving the fact that one of the boys was one of my favorite episodes. I won't I know a lot of people will hate me for that, but I'm like, I like it. It was actually not bad when they actually gender bent, like they twisted the characters from females to males, and in the end, it ended up being a really fun episode. I understand like some people didn't like it just because of the rough housing, but this is what brothers do. Like I've seen brothers do like this. It's not bad. So yeah, it wasn't like a stellar episode, like an A or an S tier. I was just saying this is B in most sense a B for me.
The problem was that in this episode, that was all they did. Like, yeah, like with you're right. Like brothers do rough house like that, but they're shown to be more than that. Like they're shown to be more compassionate, more affectionate than that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand, but we'll see. I mean, like overall, this was yeah, that's pretty much it. I got much to say because we're kind of like over time right now, already like 3 hours and 30 minutes into our stream. um, but yeah, it feels like I will split the video up. I'll put the introduction video of us being in the panel plus the recent news in one video, and I'll put this video in another thing. But overall, this is all our tier list is. We have like 4 S tier episodes in season 1. Toes and Tiaras, one for Loud House, for Rose About to Rock and Cover Girls. Everything else was all pretty much average from A B, C. D episodes make sense. Some of them were really that great. The F episodes, no doubt, I hated those episodes too. So, nonetheless, this whole tier episode, we are able to get this through. This is our whole tier episode, Tiermaker picture for season 1. We'll put this up on Twitter literally right after the stream. And yeah, and like I said, we want to do this a whole lot more because this actually was fun to do. It's just that we need to make sure that we have all these followers. So hopefully, if we actually hit that 5,000 followers on Twitter, we can be able to do another one for season 2 of the Loud House. So tell your friends, follow us on the fan page of the Loud House and the Casa Grandes, and we will definitely do a season 2 of the Loud House Tiermaker.
That's right. So keep supporting us, keep spreading the word, get us to 5K, and then we can make the season 2 tier list, as a way to show love and support for y'all. As a way for us to show our love and support for the show.
All right, and that was pretty much it for our LoudCasa Talks episode. I know this was a very long one because we had a lot to discuss, from the recent news to this Tiermaker that turned out to be pretty long. Don't worry, we'll do it short next time. Remember that you can listen to our LoudCasa Talks podcast on all podcast providers: Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever listen to podcasts. That's where our LoudCasa Talks podcasts are going to be on. And subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching on our YouTube. Make sure you hit that red button and also hit the bell button so you'll be notified when we'll be on for videos on YouTube. And we also do have our Twitch as well. Please follow our new Twitch channel on twitch.tv/LoudCasa Talks so you get to see us live while we record LoudCasa Talks episodes or episode reviews. So I want to let you guys know that next week we're gonna skip our LoudCasa Talks episode. We'll skip that for another week. But next week we're gonna be doing some episode reviews. We're gonna be reviewing Great Lakes Freakout and the Macho Man with a Plan. Next Wednesday, Great Lakes Freakout is the Halloween special of the Louds and the Casa Grandes meeting up. And the Macho Man with the Plan is the first episode of the Really Loud House. So get ready for that. Let's see what our judgments are going to be, considering that this is the first episode of the Really Loud House.
Yeah, let's just say one I'm looking forward to talking about, the other, not that much, honestly.
Well, let's see. I mean, let's see how the first episode is. And then the week after next week, we're going to talk about the Casa Grandes cancellation part 2. What happens next for the Familia? We now know that they're now in the Loud House, and at the moment, they're currently doing a really good job. Now we're actually going to talk about like our thoughts about how the Loud crew is going to treat the Casa Grandes, even without their show. Are the Casa Grandes going to be treated well with the Loud House crew? That's going to be what the next LoudCasa Talks episode is going to be about.
Yeah, so get ready for that, y'all.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it for us here on our LoudCasa Talks podcast. Thank you all for listening in, and it's great to be back and to talk more about the Loud House of the Casa Grandes. Again, my name is Nate.
And this is Omid saying LoudCasa Talks is back, baby. Woo! And we are back bigger and better than ever before. So get yourselves ready for upcoming episodes of our special podcast. And until next time, smell you, little loud crowd.